Chapter 2378 Rules. Phone reading. This should be the place where the cave is rented, right? Yang Kai stood in front of a large hall at the junction of the outer city and the inner city, looked up for a while, then greeted Lu Shanyan, and walked in. He was able to find this place quickly, thanks to the guidance of Ling Yinshan and others. Originally, Zhao Yi wanted to accompany him here, but was declined by Yang Kai. It's not a troublesome thing to do, and it's just renting the cave. Yang Kai can handle it at his own expense. Before parting, Zhao Yi gave Yang Kai a message bead, telling him to call anytime if he needs help. There are not many martial artists coming and going in this hall, but there are also many. When Yang Kai came, there were already a few people waiting in front. It seemed that they all came here to rent the cave. He stood aside and watched silently for a while, and quickly understood the procedure of renting. Half an hour later, when it was his turn, he went straight up, threw a pack of source crystals on the table, and said to the warrior in charge, "Let a medium-sized cave for 1 year. Outer city or inner city?" The martial artist looked up at Yang Kai and asked indifferently. Yang Kai snorted coldly. "If it is a cave in the outer city, I will give you so many source crystals. Do you think I am an idiot?" The person in charge was not annoyed. He just grinned, picked up the bag of yuanjing and stretched out his hand to weigh it, then put it away, pointed to the sand table beside him and said, "Choose it yourself." This sand table looks like a model of the entire Tongtian city, but it has been reduced countless times, but every building is lifelike. There are 2 large areas in the Dongfu district, one of which is in the outer city, and the price is relatively much lower, and the other is in the inner city, where the rental price is relatively higher. Most of the caves have some small flags, which means that the caves have been rented out, and only a few caves with a lot of space are still vacant. Yang Kai just wanted to find a place to stay, and he didn't have too much requirements on the grade of the jingling formation or even the amount of spiritual energy in the cave, so he just glanced at the sand table, then pointed to a relatively remote cave and said, "Just this is it." The person in charge glanced at it, stretched out his hand and threw it, and a token flew towards Yang Kai. Without raising his head, he said, "This is a prohibition token, keep it by yourself, don't sublet it, and don't replace the spirit formation at will. Whoever discovers it will be killed without mercy." Yang Kai caught the token, checked it briefly, put it away, and turned around to leave with Lu Shanyan. Another half an hour later, Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan came to the front of the cave together. The cave area of A-euro the inner city is located in a mountain range on the island, and caves of all sizes are built on this mountain. The overall environment not too bad. The aura of heaven and earth in Jixu's secret territory has always been extremely rich, but this aura is mixed with infinite transformation power, so warriors can't absorb it at will, they can only use it after arranging the purification array. According to the grade of the purification array, the efficiency of martial artist training is also very different for different heights. But generally speaking, even with the highest grade spirit purification formation, warriors practicing in this ghostly place can barely maintain their cultivation without weakening, and cannot improve at all. The mid-level cave that Yang Kai rented was naturally placed inside the mid-level spirit purification formation. They went into the cave with Lu Shanyan to check it out, and found that the size of the cave was not bad, with 3 wing rooms, an alchemy room, a weapon refining room, and even a room like a living room. Compared with the cave that Yang Kai rented in Fenggalan City, it is undoubtedly much better here, but the price is almost the same. The source crystals are extremely precious in the secret realm of Jixu, so the same price represents different values. The value of the same source crystal in the secret realm of Jixu is naturally greater. "Junior sister, find a room to stay by yourself," Yang Kai said to Lu Shanyan. "What about you?" Lu Shanyan asked. "I'm going to familiarize myself with the environment, and by the way, I'll find the master craftsman to repair Ling Yinshan's spiritual array." Lu Qianyan said. "Then brother must be careful." "Understood. If you have nothing to do, you can strengthen the various restrictions in the cave. We may have to live here for a long time." "Well, you go early and come back early," Lu Shanyan said softly, and she blushed a little after she finished speaking, because she suddenly felt that she and Yang Kai were like a husband and wife living together. The wife is worried about exhorting, and I am not in the role of wife. Together with this thought, her cheeks felt hot, and when she looked up again, Yang Kai had disappeared. After turning around in the streets of Tongtian City and asking for directions several times, Yang Kai came to a small alley. He turned his head to look around, with a strange expression on his face, and said to himself, "Didn't you walk? Then the master craftsman will live here." When he was separated from Zhao Yi and the others, Zhao Yi gave him a message bead, and then secretly sent him a message, telling Yang Kai that if he really wanted to repair the high-level spirit formation for Ling Yinshan, he would go to the inner city to find Sander Grand Master. In the entire Tongtian Island, Master Sander is the best weapon refiner, and it is said that he has vaguely touched the mystery of the Emperor's weapon master, and at least 80% of the high-level spiritual purification arrays that appeared on Tongtian Island were made by Master Sander. Since this person can refine the high-level spiritual purification array, it must be no problem to repair it. Zhao Yi also knew the significance of the high-level spirit purification formation to Ling Yinshan, so he secretly gave Yang Kai some pointers, and he also hoped that the spirit purification formation could be restored. Yang Kai is not familiar with Tongtian City, but Master Sander has a great reputation, so he just asked a few people along the way and came here. It's just that he couldn't believe that a guy who was about to go to the Emperor's armament master actually lived in this corner, but he remembered that some experts had weird tempers and always acted unexpectedly, so it was not surprising. He walked straight towards the end of the alley and came to a gate. The gate was open. Yang Kai glanced inside and found a spacious courtyard inside, empty and spotless. There was a guy dressed as a boy sweeping the floor with a broom. Yang Kai stepped forward, clasped his fists and said, "This little brother invited you." That boy seemed to be deaf. He didn't pay attention to Yang Kai's intention at all. He only cared about sweeping his own ground, as if there was a stunning beauty lying there. Yang Kai coughed dryly and asked, "Excuse me, is this the place where Master Sang cultivated?" The boy then raised his head and said impatiently, "Since you have already found this place, what are you asking?" Hearing what he said, Yang Kai immediately knew that he had found the right place, and quickly said, "Grand Master is free now. I have something that I want Master to repair. I don't know." "Who are you? Don't you know the rules?" "Rules? What rules?" Yang Kai looked blank. The boy looked Yang Kai up and down, and said with a sneer, "I found this place without knowing the rules. You are really interesting, just because you want to see Grand Master like this. In your next life." Yang Kai humbly asked for advice. "I also asked the little brother to give me some pointers." The boy raised his head, looked at the sky, stood there with the broom in his hands, and twirled his fingers quickly. "This is good." When Yang Kai saw the boy's posture, he knew that he had done a lot of this kind of thing. No wonder people said that Hades is easy to see, but the little ghost is difficult to deal with. This boy is an out-and-out little ghost. Yang Kai resisted the unhappiness in his heart, took out a cloth bag from the space ring and handed it to the other party, and said, "Can we talk about it now?" The boy weighed the weight of the cloth bag, then smiled with satisfaction, and pointed to Yang Kai condescendingly, "Master, time is precious. How can you have so much free time to entangle with you people? But Master, he has a kind heart, and misses you. Being trapped in Tongtian life on the island is not easy, so I deliberately squeezed out some time to help you refine weapons." Yang Kai curled his lips when he heard the words. This boy said it as if he was not trapped on Tongtian Island. He was really shameless. "You remember," the boy said solemnly, "every month, the Master only opens the door 3 times, and there will be 3 opportunities to help you refine the secret treasure. If you want to ask the Master for help, it depends on your own chance. Of course, apart from these 3 times, the Master will make an exception to open the door once in a while when he is in a good mood, and every time he opens the door, he will only help the first 10 people refine the secret treasure, and it will be gone if he is late. 3 chances, 10 places each time." Yang Kai frowned, thinking that this Master Sander was quite arrogant, and set so many weird rules. But in this way, Yang Kai understood why there was no one here today at Master Sander. Obviously it was not time to open the door, or the door had already been opened. A child can be taught, that's what it is. The child smiled and nodded. "How old are you, baby? How dare you talk to adults like that?" Yang Kai's complexion sank, and he reached out and knocked at the boy. The boy shrank his head, but he didn't dodge it. His cultivation base is not high, he only has the void return mirror. How can he avoid Yang Kai's blow? You dare to hit me?" The boy stepped back a few steps, covered his head with his hands and yelled. His eyeballs were red, and he looked very annoyed. "Hitting you is light. If you dare to be so big or small, be careful and I will really beat you." The boy seemed to be frightened. He was working with Master Sander, and everyone who came here was polite to him, not daring to offend him in the slightest. This was the first time he met someone who dared to teach him a lesson. He turned his head and glanced into the courtyard, as if he was expecting Master Sander to come to help him out, but there was no movement at all inside. "What are you looking at?" I knew at a young age that foxes are pretending to be tigers, and when I grow up, I can still get it. If I ask you, you answer honestly. Yang Kai snorted coldly. The boy looked displeased, but he didn't make a sound. How many times has master opened the door this month? Yang Kai asked. Twice. The boy snorted. When is the next time? I don't know. The master opens the door immediately. When you are in a good mood, he will help you refine the weapon. Just wait. R1152. Chapter 2379. You don't care. Phone reading. You want to find a master refiner, but today is no chance. Copy the URL and visit web links, the boy said. But luckily you met Ben Tongzi. If you don't mind, you might as well take out the materials and I'll help you practice. You are also a refiner. Yang Kai looked at him in surprise. The boy raised his head and chest, shook his hair, pretended to be unrestrained, and said proudly, "What's so difficult about mere weapon refining? This boy is very talented, and I have been under the master's door for so long, so it must be no problem for you to help me." Yes, but the reward. Yang Kai curled his lips and left without looking back. This boy is only at the level of the void returning mirror. Even if he is really a craftsman, how good can he be? He was looking for Master Sander to repair the high-level spirit purification array. Repairing is more difficult than refining. He is sure that this boy does not have this ability. Don't go, look down on people. Tell you, this boy is a saint-level craftsman. If you miss this village, you won't have this shop. Don't regret it. Deeply humiliated. For several days in a row, Yang Kai had to go to Master Sander every day. According to the boy, the master has opened the door twice this month, and there is still one last chance left, but he doesn't know the exact time, so Yang Kai can only try his luck. It's a pity that after a few days of effort, Yang Kai still got nothing. On the contrary, I walked around the streets and alleys in the past few days, and got a lot of information about the situation in Tongtian City, and I also got a lot of knowledge about the local customs and customs here. Calculating that there are only a few days left in this month, Yang Kai was afraid that he would go late one day and miss the opening time of the master, or that he would not be squeezed into the 10 places, so he simply stopped running around. It is to go directly to the place where the master lives and squat up to guard. He thought that he had gone early enough and would definitely occupy a good position, but Yang Kai didn't realize that he was wrong until he got there. In front of the place where Master Sander lives, there are already many warriors waiting in line. Yang Kai stared blankly, but after thinking about it carefully, he knew that these people must have the same idea as himself. I feel that there is not much time left in this month, but the master still has the last chance to open the door, so I came here in advance to wait. He counted carefully and found that there were as many as 9 of these people who came. In other words, if he counted himself, that would be a full number of 10. Present. He didn't say much, and silently came to the end of the line and stood up. The boy sweeping the floor seemed to be crazy. After seeing so many people, he tried his best to sell himself, bragging about his ability, and wanted these warriors to hand over the materials to him so that he could refine the weapon. But the warriors who lived here obviously knew the boy's ability. One bucket of water was not full, and half of the bucket was dangling. Everyone didn't say a word in the face of the boy's chatter, and they didn't pay attention to what he said. The boy seemed a little annoyed. Yang Kai chuckled and said, "You have time to grind your mouth here, why don't you obediently find materials to practice your hands? It seems that you have been following the master for a long time. Didn't the master teach you to do everything step by step and avoid being so ambitious?" €. The boy muttered, "If you want to talk too much, just stand still." But being taught by Yang Kai, he was embarrassed to entangle with those warriors, turned around and entered the house, closing the door. "Come see what's out of sight. The warriors who come here are all waiting for Master San to open the door and ask for weapon refining. Everyone is not familiar with each other, so no one chats. Those who are bored just sit down cross-legged and meditate. In front of the master. No one has dared to be presumptuous at will, so naturally they are not afraid of being troubled by some blind people. And as time goes by, more and more people come here. However, these later martial artists saw that there were already 10 people waiting here, and most of them shook their heads in disappointment, turned around and left. They knew the rules of Master Sander, so they naturally understood that even if they stayed and waited, it would be useless. Can only wait for the next opportunity. But there are also people who have been prepared for a long time, take out the source crystal and want to find 10 people including Yang Kai to buy the position, but there are few successful examples, only 2 people traded readily. These people who want to use source crystals to buy positions naturally found him, but Yang Kai is a person who lacks source crystals. Naturally, he shook his head and refused. After waiting for a full 2 days, the front door suddenly opened, and the boy walked out with his head upright and chest out, pretending to cough dryly, and said loudly, "The 3rd refinement of this month will start now, and the top 10 friends please follow along. I'm coming in." Everyone was overjoyed when they heard the words, and stood up from where they were. After waiting for such a long time, the master finally opened the door for the 3rd time. These people all felt that it was worth it, because Master Sander seldom missed the craft. Although the fee was a bit more expensive, he was indeed skilled. Everyone can be satisfied. Ha ha ha, it's a coincidence that it's better to come early. A loud laugh came suddenly, and then a figure rushed from behind, rushing into the crowd extremely domineeringly, occupying a position. That powerful momentum, the whirling wind, caused everyone to frown slightly, showing displeasure on their faces. But after investigating the cultivation of the incoming person, these displeasures turned into fears. Because the person who came was a strong man at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. Among the 10 people waiting here, apart from Yang Kai who is at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, there is only one woman dressed as a young woman with this cultivation level, and the others are all at the 1st and 2nd level of Daoyuan, so naturally they dare not open their mouths to offend him. This person is dressed in a purple robe, very conspicuous, and he looks very handsome, but there is a strong sense of superiority in his eyes, as if no one in the world can fall into his eyes. After he arrogantly descended to seize a position, Yang Kai, who was originally at the end of the line, somehow became the 11th person. Master Sander only has 10 places to open the door at a time, and standing at the 11th place, doesn't it mean that he is not even qualified to enter, and he has waited for several days in vain? Yang Kai suddenly became unhappy, looked at the boy and said, "Little boy, don't you care about this matter?" What, I didn't see anything." The boy raised his head, his eyeballs rolled up to the top of his head. A few days ago, Yang Kai knocked him on the head, which obviously made him bear a grudge. Seeing that Yang Kai's last position was squeezed out, he was secretly refreshed. How could he come to help Yang Kai get ahead? Yang Kai's face sank, and said, "You are blind, did you not see this person jumping in line?" The boy said angrily, "My eyes are fine, but you are blind." Yang Kai sneered. The master is so domineering in front of the door, is there any reason to say? Reason. The martial artist who sees the position sneered, "This seat is reason here, you want to reason with me? Then I will reason with you. If you say I jumped in line, who saw it? Who saw it? If you see it, you can stand up and tell me loudly, and I, Yu Leping, will immediately give up this position." While speaking, he turned his head and looked around. The other 9 people were all silent, as if they were extremely afraid of this guy named Yu Leping. "I saw it." Yang Kai looked at him coldly. Yu Leping snorted coldly. "If you come late, don't deliberately find trouble. If you dare to slander me like this, believe it or not, I poached your eyeballs. Try it." Yang Kai smiled angrily. This guy named Yu Leping is simply too shameless. He clearly jumped into the queue when he came late, but now he is shouting, "Stop thief." Yang Kai has never seen such a cheeky face people. The boy is looking for death. Yu Leping was obviously also a fiery temper. He never thought that Yang Kai would dare to chatter with him on this matter. He made a wrong step in his heart, and turned his hands into claws to grab Yang Kai. Before the attack arrived, the strong wind was blowing in the face, and the momentum was overwhelming. Looking at his posture, it seems that he really wanted to poach Yang Kai's eyeballs, and he didn't show any mercy at all. A few warriors who were slightly weaker were urged by his momentum, their expressions changed drastically, and they all fell back. Yang Kai stood still and didn't move, but looked at the boy coldly and said, "You don't care if you fight in front of Grandmaster's door." The boy snorted, "You should settle your own affairs. It's good to have your words." Yang Kai snorted coldly and looked up at Yu Leping. Yu Leping, who was originally aggressive, suddenly had a very bad feeling when he stared at him like this, and his whole body was chilled, but when he thought that he was at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, in the entire Tongtian Island, except for those few apart from a grown-up who can make him afraid, who else is his opponent? So after a little hesitation, the moves became more ruthless. Yang Kai raised his hand and punched forward. The majestic source force suddenly erupted like a silent volcano, the power of which made everyone change color in astonishment. Snappy to euro a euro. Yu Leping's big hand grabbed onto Yang Kai's fist, with a smirk on his face, and when he was about to smash Yang Kai's hand into pieces, he was shocked to find a force like a tsunami coming towards him. His Daoyuan third-layer cultivation base was actually powerless to resist, and the source of body protection was like snowflakes under the scorching sun, quickly dissolving and retreating steadily. The force traveled along the palm of the hand and rushed towards the arm. Clothes shattered, flesh and blood splattered, and muscles and bones were separated along the way. Boom, a euro. The menacing Yu Leping seemed to be hit by a big mountain, and flew out like lightning, directly hitting the corner of the wall. Wow, a euro. A big mouthful of blood spewed out. Yu Leping's arrogance suddenly weakened, his face was pale and bloodless. My hand. The next moment, he roared heart-piercingly. Looking around, the arm he hit Yang Kai was broken inch by inch, bloody, and the bones of Bai Sensen poked out of the flesh and blood. It was startling. The boy was stunned for a moment, and the other 9 people were also shocked, looking at Yang Kai's eyes full of horror. Yang Kai looked harmless to humans and animals before he made a move, and he wanted the boy to uphold justice for him, but he didn't want to be so cruel and ruthless when he made a move. He just crippled Yu Leping, who was at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, with just one punch. Arms, face not red and heart beating. This guy, couldn't it be some Emperor Senior Realm Master who hides his cultivation to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger? This thought came to everyone's mind, and the boy was drenched in cold sweat all of a sudden. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2380 Sander. You dare to cripple my hand. Yu Leping couldn't accept the reality that one of his arms was crippled until now. While looking at Yang Kai with resentment, he screamed at the same time, his face was almost completely distorted by the pain. Read the latest chapter first release. Comparative Chinese Network New per mil. Chi. A euro. Get lost. Yang Kai yelled. A mere Daoyuan 3rd level realm dares to be so arrogant in front of him, it is simply unimportant. He has been in a bad mood these past few days because he was in trouble on Tongtian Island. Now that someone hit the muzzle of a gun, he naturally took advantage of the situation to vent his anger. Yu Leping seemed to have finally realized that Yang Kai was not a soft persimmon that he needed casually, stared at him viciously, and walked away desperately clutching his injured arm. In front of the master's door, there was still silence, and the other 10 people were all covered with air conditioning, and their complexions turned pale. Didn't Grandmaster already open the door? How long do we have to wait? Seeing the boy standing there like a fool, Yang Kai immediately urged. Follow me. The boy shrank his neck, how could he dare to neglect anything, and hurriedly led the way. Judging from Yang Kai's fiery temper and the fierceness of the attack, the boy reckoned that if he was not a member of Master Sander, this guy might also attack him. After all, I didn't say a word for him when this person was squeezed out of his seat just now. Not long after, a group of people entered the inner hall under the leadership of the boy. The boy pointed to a side door and said, "Go in one by one, and the master is inside. You all know the rules, so do what you want." After finishing speaking, he ran away quickly and disappeared without a trace. After he left, the first martial artist in the row looked at Yang Kai cautiously, and found that Yang Kai had found a seat and sat down on his own. Only then did he know that the other party had no intention of taking his first place. I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and hurried into the side door to find the master forging. The other 8 people who came to find Master Sander's tool refining also found a place to sit down, but they were more or less afraid of Yang Kai, so they were far away from his seat. It seems that Yang Kai dominates one side, and the others are crowded together. Yang Kai didn't care, closed his eyes and rested. That Yu Leping has an unusual background. You should be careful with this senior. A gentle voice suddenly passed into Yang Kai's ears, which meant some reminders. Yang Kai opened his eyes, glanced slightly, and then fixed his gaze on the beautifully dressed young woman. Among the 10 people who came here to find the master refiner, only 2 people are Daoyuan 3rd layer realm, except for Yang Kai, it is this young woman, and everyone else is Daoyuan 1st and 2nd layer realm. Although this young woman was dressed in an ordinary way, she couldn't hide her natural beauty. Yang Kai had glanced at her before, but he didn't pay much attention to it, but he didn't want her to send a sound transmission to him at this moment. Seeing Yang Kai looking towards her, the young woman just nodded slightly, then shifted her gaze away without a trace. In this inner hall, Yang Kai and her have the highest cultivation and the strongest spiritual sense, so there is no need to worry about being discovered by others through sound transmission. But she was so sneaky, obviously she didn't want to cause trouble for herself. Thank you, junior sister, for reminding me, I will remember it. Yang Kai replied. The young woman seemed a little disapproving when she saw his expression. He said again, brother, you must not be careless. Then Yuewen is from the city lord's mansion. Relying on the protection of the city lord, he has always been domineering and arrogant in Tongtian City. He never put others in his eyes. This time you let him suffer such a big loss, he will definitely not let it go. If he wants to die, I don't mind fulfilling him. Hearing Yang Kai's understatement, the young woman broke out in a cold sweat and hurriedly said, it is absolutely impossible. If you really kill him, there will be no place for you in Tongtian Island. Yang Kai grinned and said, the tree wants to be quiet but the wind doesn't stop, what can I do? The young woman heard the words. With a slight sigh, he knew that what Yang Kai said was correct, even if Yang Kai let Yuewen go, with Yuewen's usual way of doing things today, Yang Kai would either just let him go. Let it go, or stand up and resist. From the look of him, he is also the kind of person who will swallow his anger. Thank you, junior sister. Yang Kai thanked lightly. Although the young woman didn't help him much, she still secretly reminded him, it was her kindness. The young woman stopped talking, but when she looked at Yang Kai occasionally, her eyes were full of pity and sympathy, as if she had already foreshadowed Yang Kai's miserable future. The inner hall was still very quiet, and no one had any intention of talking to each other. Everyone who came here asked Master Sander to forge weapons. At this moment, they were waiting so anxiously that they couldn't be in the mood to chat. About half an hour later, the first martial artist who walked into the side door suddenly came out, and everyone looked at him, only to see that this person had a happy face, as if something good had happened, and he left without saying a word after he came out. The second warrior stood up quickly and walked towards the side door. In this way, until the evening, the other 9 people left one by one. Everyone had different expressions when they came out, some were happy, some were serious, but none of them were sad. Yang Kai looked at his words and knew that this Master Sander was well known, and he really had some real materials. He probably succeeded in helping those 9 people refine their weapons, and I am afraid that even one of them failed. It is rumored that Master Sander has glimpsed the mystery of the Emperor Weapon Master. I am afraid it is not true. When the 9th person came out from the side door, Yang Kai stood up and Shiren walked in. As soon as he entered the side door, the inside was dim and dark, and there was no light, but there was a glimmer of light coming from an exit in front. Yang Kai followed the guidance of the light all the way forward, and it didn't take long for him to come to a hot environment. Looking around, here is a secret room, surrounded by flames constantly beating. A huge refining furnace is placed in the middle of the secret room, and beside the refining furnace, a figure is sitting cross-legged, while the surrounding flames are dancing. This flickering figure is also disillusioned and incomparably weird. Although the light was not good, Yang Kai could still see the face of Master Sander clearly at a glance. To his surprise, this Grand Master looked like an ordinary old man. There was nothing unusual about him, but Yang Kai could still vaguely sense that this old man was not easy to mess with. He sat there like a silent volcano with huge energy hidden in its body. Apart from being a good craftsman, his own strength is probably not low. I've seen Grand Master. Yang Kai cupped his fists at him. Sit. Sander raised his eyes and pointed to a futon in front of him. Yang Kai took the opportunity to sit down. What do you want to refine? Take out the materials, and talk about your requirements. Sander said. Yang Kai quickly took out the set of high-level spirit purification array, handed it to Sander and said, I want to ask Master to repair this set of base array flags. Sander took it, looked at it carefully for a while, nodded and said, this set of things is from the hands of the old man, and it is not difficult to restore. Yang Kai was overjoyed when he heard the words. He had guessed that the high-level spirit purification formation was made by Sander, and now it seems that he was right. Since people can refine it, it must be no problem to repair it, he said. I don't know what materials are needed, so I don't have any preparations. If the master has suitable materials, I can buy them. Source crystals are not a problem. Quote. Sander stretched out his hand and patted the refining furnace. The furnace cover immediately flew up. He threw all the array flags into it, then looked at Yang Kai lightly and said, do you think I look like a person who lacks source crystals? Quote. Yang Kai didn't know what he meant by asking this question, and didn't know how to answer it for a while. I don't want yuanjing, Sander continued. Then what does the master want? Yang Kai thumped in his heart, thinking that you threw my high-level jingling formation into the refining furnace without asking, and then told me that I don't want yuanjing. What? What if I can't afford the reward you want? Do you still want the high-level jingling formation? If the purifying spirit formation is his own, then it doesn't matter. The key is that this thing belongs to Ling Yinshan, and it has a great symbolic meaning to Ling Yinshan, otherwise Yang Kai would be so troublesome and spend a high price to rebuild it. Just buy a set and give it back to her. It was precisely because of Ling Yinshan's longing for her partner that this spiritual purification formation entrusted, that Yang Kai went out of his way to find Sander to repair it. Then let's see what you can give me, Sander said lightly. Yang Kai couldn't help getting a little annoyed, thinking that if you want my life, can I still give it to you? Sure enough, the upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. The boy's behavior and handling of things make people disagree, and Sander is the same. It seems that the name is correct, Sander, Sangda. He suppressed the unhappiness in his heart, and said in a deep voice, what does master want? If I can do it, I will do my best. The implication is that if you can't do it, then you can't do it. Sander smiled slightly, and that smile seemed a little treacherous. Just when Yang Kai was focused and ready to listen, a pure and surging spiritual power suddenly came from Sander's side, converging into a spear, stabbing straight at his sea of a consciousness. Although Yang Kai was attacked by surprise, his reaction was not slow, and he quickly urged the power of his soul to meet him. Boom a euro. The silent collision caused Yang Kai and Sander to start slightly. Sander's eyes revealed surprise, and then he was delighted. The originally indifferent eyes suddenly burst into a frightening light, staring at Yang Kai with a pair of almost cannibalistic eyes, as if he found some treasure. Yang Kai got up suddenly. He was attacked in a hurry just now, and he didn't fully exert the power of his spiritual sense, not because he didn't want to exert it, but because he was afraid of hurting Sander. If his mind and soul were seriously injured, then no one would repair the spirit formation for him. But Sunday attacked him without saying a word, which made Yang Kai extremely annoyed. He secretly decided that if the old guy didn't give himself a satisfactory explanation, he would put a knife on his neck and force him to clean the spirit purification formation for him. Repair as ever. To be continued. Chapter 2381 The Method of Leaving. Phone reading. What are you doing? Yang Kai looked at Sander coldly and asked coldly. Pinshu.com www. Versus ODTW. COM starting address, read backwards AA. Little brother, don't be nervous. Sander didn't have the consciousness of a sneak attack, and looked at Yang Kai with a smile. The old man just did a small test for you, and there is no malice. Are you kidding me? What test needs to use a sneak attack, and it's a sneak attack? Yang Kai was annoyed. This is him, and someone else who is not as powerful as him is still lying on the ground and crying. Mother. It is not a small injury if the soul is injured. Yang Kai suddenly lost his favor for Sander. Because what the old man does requires the power of the soul. If it weren't for the fact that you were so easy to deal with warriors of the same level outside the door, little brother, the old man wouldn't bother to test you. Yang Kai snorted coldly, so it's my honor. And listening to what he said, he seemed to know it when he and Yu Leping fought outside. Little brother, don't be impatient, and listen to the old man speak slowly. Sander stretched out his hand to comfort him. Yang Kai stared at him fiercely for a while, feeling a little helpless. Now that he begged someone else, he was dissatisfied with Sander's approach, and he had to wait for him to repair the spiritual purification formation. Seeing Yang Kai sit down, Sander changed his smile and said, I want to ask little brother, how long have you been trapped in this ghost place? Yang Kai burst out, thinking that the old man must have seen something, right? No, you're new here, but he said just now that he has no shortage of source crystals, so there is no reason to do something to him. A distracting thought flashed across his mind, and he said calmly, why do you ask this? Sander smiled and said, it's fine if you don't say anything, my little brother, but this old man has been trapped here for 900 years. Yang Kai sneered in his heart, thinking that it would be better if you were trapped until you died. Sangda sighed, 900 years ago, I was at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, and 900 years later, I will still be at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. The level of this weapon refining has been improved all the way. But so what? Isn't it impossible to leave? You can't leave this place, you can't break through to the Emperor Senior Realm, and you will die here sooner or later. Yang Kai frowned slightly. I didn't know what he was talking about, but he didn't say a word, so he suppressed his temper and listened. No matter how long you have been trapped, little brother, the old man just asks. Sander's face suddenly became serious, and his eyes burst into ejaculation. Said in a deep voice, do you want to leave here? Yang Kai was startled, stared at Sander and said, do you have a way to leave? Sander smiled slightly, and asked without answering, is there any? He. This unbeatable answer made Yang Kai very annoyed, wishing he could catch this Sander now, and then use the soul search method to see what was in his head. He originally planned to live here for a while, and then slowly inquire about ways to leave here, but today he heard some clues here at Sander. How could Yang Kai not be tempted? He pondered for a while, and said, Master, we smart people don't speak dark words. You said that you have a way to leave, but I don't believe it. Several emperors on the island are trapped. If there is a way to leave, why don't they go? Won't drop. They are them, the old man is the old man, don't confuse them. Sander curled his lips, and said proudly, what's more, the method of leaving mastered by the old man, even if the emperor knows it, he can't leave. Yang Kai frowned, said, since Emperor Senior Realm can't leave, how can you do it? That's the old man's business. Sand snorted, and said impatiently, the old man will find you, it's your chance. Whether you can grasp it depends on your own ability. This Sander looks a little moody. Yang Kai is sure that if he refuses, he will definitely kill himself, although the old guy is a refiner, but according to what he said 900 years ago, he was at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. The level of this craftsman was raised in Tongtian Island, and his strength is definitely not weak. Now that he revealed the news to himself, there were only 2 options left for him, either cooperate or be hostile. If this is really a chance, I will naturally not miss it, but how do I know if what you said is true? Yang Kai looked unwilling to believe, at least you have to tell me where you left from. Sander smiled slightly, and said, the little brother is also a cautious person, and the old man likes to work with cautious people. He paused, and said, the place to leave is in the sea of a silence. Yang Kai curled his lips when he heard the words, thinking that if he said it, he didn't say it. How big is the sea of a silence? He has experienced it deeply. Sander only said that it is in the sea of a silence. Who can find it, and how can he prove it? Sand said, I tell you the truth, not only the old man knows the location of this exit but also the other 2. Who? Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. City Master Tongtian and Pavilion Master Bingxin. Sander snorted coldly, these 2 are the 2 most powerful people in Tongtian Island. Yang Kai was stunned. He thought that such secret information must only be known by Sander, but now it seems that this is not the case. The Lord of Tongtian City and the Lord of Bingxin Pavilion also know it. The Lord of Tongtian City, he heard from Zhao Yi, knew that this guy was originally a 3rd-layer emperor, but he was only cultivating and surviving on Tongtian Island, and his strength could not be at its peak. Although Yang Kai, the master of Bingxin Pavilion, didn't know, he could think of it. The situation should be similar to that of the Tongtian City Lord. In other words, both of them have the powerful realm of the 3rd-level Emperor Senior Realm, but they can't perform at their due level. Since they know, why don't they leave? With their strength, they should be able to go anywhere, right? Yang Kai was puzzled. Can you go anywhere? Sander sneered after hearing the words, it's not necessarily true. If it is outside, such a powerful cultivation is indeed rampant in the world, but in this sea of a solitude, if the 2 of them dare to stay outside for a long time, that is courting death. Can't the strength be replenished? Yang Kai suddenly understood. Exactly. Sangda nodded, how vast is the sea of a lonely void? Even if the 2 adults exhausted their cultivation, they would not be able to fly to the exit by themselves. If they don't make supplements, even if they cultivate to reach the sky, it will be a dead end. The infinite transforming power in the secret realm of silence makes it impossible for any warrior to absorb the aura of heaven and earth. If the sea is calm and the wind is calm, it will be fine. At worst, stop and find a place, set up a spiritual formation, and use source crystals and elixirs to assist. Slowly recover, and then move forward when you recover. But Yang Kai traveled all the way from the lonely void sea, but he knew that in the depths of the sea, there were countless dragons absorbing water, and the dragon's water absorption was extremely strong, and it was not a place where he could recover cleanly. And the deeper you go, the more water the dragon absorbs, and the more terrifying the suction. The Emperor's senior third layer seems to be powerful, but if it really flies there, it may not be able to resist it when its strength is weak. Hearing this, Yang Kai has already believed 7 or 8 points, what Sander said is reasonable, so he can't help but not believe it. Where is the exit, can you let me see it? Yang Kai suppressed his excitement and asked seemingly casually. He might not be able to do things that Emperor Zun couldn't do at the 3rd level. He has the mysterious boundary orb, and when his strength is exhausted, he can enter the mysterious boundary orb to hide, and then come out and continue to move forward when he recovers. The only thing he needs to worry about is that those dragons don't absorb water too much. If it's too powerful, he won't be able to get out. But it must be right to get the position of the exit first. I can't show you this. Sander refused straight away. Yang Kai said in a deep voice, isn't Master so unkind? If you want to cooperate with me, you need to share information. If you don't show me anything and only rely on one-sided words, how can I trust you? Sander smiled slightly and said, if you believe it, there will be, if you don't believe it, there will be no. He looked determined to accept Yang Kai, making Yang Kai's teeth itch with hatred, but there was nothing he could do. After thinking for a while, Yang Kai said, I don't understand, what does the matter of going out have to do with Master asking me to cooperate? Sand said, if you want to go out, you need not only an exit location, but also tools, right? Don't you want to fly all the way there? Yang Kai frowned slightly, you don't even have the tools to go out. Sand said, yes, but I need to get it. I'm not with the old man. Moreover, several people need to work together to get it. That's why the old man came to you. Yang Kai said thoughtfully, could it be related to the strength of the soul? Sander smiled, nodded and said, exactly, it's really rare that you can take over 70% of the power of the old man's soul in a hurry, which means that even if your soul cultivation is not as good as the old man's, it is not far behind, otherwise you think the old man's power is not far behind. Will tell you this. He had a proud look on his face, as if he felt that it was his honor to have 70% of his soul power being taken over by Yang Kai. He didn't know that Yang Kai only used 20% of his soul power just now. If he wasn't afraid of hurting the old man, Yang Kai would definitely let him see what real soul power is, so that he wouldn't be arrogant. Yang Kai was puzzled, since that thing is a tool to go out, why isn't it here with you? Sander snorted, it was refined by my master. With the old man's ability, I can't refine that thing for the time being. Yang Kai's body shook. It is said that Sander has discovered the mystery of the Emperor Armor Master, and even he can't refine it. Doesn't this mean that his master is a genuine Emperor Armor Master? There is actually an Emperor Weapon Master in this secret place of silence. And it doesn't seem to be known yet. Yang Kai was extremely shocked. Sander seemed to see Yang Kai's doubts, and said, my master doesn't live in Tongtian City, and he has never revealed his weapon refining skills in front of outsiders, so no one knows about it. Since it belongs to your master, he has no objection to you taking it like this. Yang Kai asked with a sneer, this Sander is really not a good thing, I have to worry about my master's things, and I don't know which blind master it is, to actually accept such a traitor. If he had already cleared the house, how could Sander have been allowed to live until now? To be continued. Chapter 2382 Bingxin Pavilion. Phone reading. Sander smiled and said, Master, the old man died 5 years ago, what can he say? His face suddenly twisted when he said this, the old man is dead, but he didn't hand over the tool to me. I can only pick it up in person. Read the latest chapter first, €1. Yang Kai was stunned when he heard the words. Looking at Sander's expression, it seemed that he was not happy with his master, and there was no entanglement between the two of them. The old man has been preparing for this matter for 5 years, and has been looking for someone like you. Today, I finally got it together. As long as you nod your head, little brother, and give your trust to the old man promises to take you out of this secret realm of solitude. Sangda looked at Yang Kai excitedly. I don't have the right to choose, do I? Yang Kai chuckled. Sand said indifferently, although the old man never leaves home, he has been refining weapons in Tongtian Island for 900 years. He has made many friends and made many people owe favors. Brother, you should think carefully. Although these words sound unclear, Yang Kai is not an idiot, and he can't hear the threat of the other party's words. He said that he has made many friends and made many people owe favors. In other words, he can make many people work for him. Once Yang Kai refuses, it will be difficult for him to move forward in Tongtian City in the future, and many people will embarrass him, to kill him. You help me repair the purifying spirit formation first, I have to think about it for a while. Yang Kai pointed at the refining furnace. It's easy to say. Sander smiled slightly. This time, he didn't say anything more, but with a serious expression, he pinched the spirit art with his hand, ignited the fire, and began to repair the spiritual purification array. Yang Kai sat there cross-legged, frowning tightly, seeming to be considering the feasibility of Sander's proposal, but in fact he has been paying close attention to this old guy's refining tool, lest he do anything in the spirit purification formation. Sander is worthy of being a master craftsman, seeing that he throws all kinds of materials into the crafting furnace, and the hand spirit will change constantly. A spirit array was carved into the refining furnace, and there was a humming sound from the huge refining furnace from time to time. Yang Kai himself is an alchemist, although he has never been in contact with the art of refining, but there are many similarities between the two, such as the investment in materials, the control of the fire, the depiction of the spirit array, etc., so although he didn't understand it very well, he also knew that Sander was not perfunctory. Instead, he was really helping himself to restore the spirit formation. After a full hour, Sander suddenly received his spiritual decision, and the fire of the refining furnace gradually began to weaken. After a certain level, Sander suddenly shot a few spiritual seals towards the refining furnace, and then suddenly stopped. He stretched out his hand and lifted it, the furnace cover flew out, and a pole of array flags and formation foundations shot out from the furnace, and he caught it in his hand. Yang Kai looked at it. It was found that this set of spiritual purification formation had been restored as before, and it seemed that Ling Yinshan was more spiritual when she first lent it to him. In other words, this set of spiritual purification formation was definitely better than the previous one. Sander smiled slightly, and said, "Little brother, this set of spiritual purification array you brought should be something that the old man refined 50 years ago. In the past 50 years, the old man has learned a lot. Diligent, so I have slightly modified this set of spirit purification array, but don't worry, it's definitely easier to use than before. Euro." While speaking, he didn't make any decisions, and directly handed over the formation flag and formation foundation of the spirit purification formation to Yang Kai. Yang Kai took it, and didn't worry about what he would do in this spirit purification formation. After a brief inspection, he threw it into the space ring, clasped his fists and said, "Thank you, Master." San said, "I don't know what the little brother is thinking about. I've figured it out." Yang Kai nodded slightly, "I count this as my share." Sander laughed, "Little brother is indeed a sensible person, the old man is right about you." Yang Kai snorted coldly, "I just want to leave here, even if I'm not a master, I will cooperate with others." "It's okay, if that's the case, then let's meet in front of the city gate in 3 days. Sander smiled slightly, "I need to prepare some things, and I need to call other people, so please come to the appointment on time, little brother." "Farewell first." Yang Kai got up and gave Sander a light hug. "By the way, haven't you asked how to call the little brother?" Sander suddenly asked again. Yang Kai, "There is no need to hide the name in this place, so Yang Kai directly uses his real name to show people." Out of Sangda's residence, Yang Kai took out the message bead that Zhao Yi had given him before, contacted him, and found out that they had indeed moved to the cave in the inner city, and they were far away from himself and Lu Shanyan. The cave where they were located was not far away, so they agreed to go to their place later, and planned to return the restored jingling array to Ling Yinshan. After walking a few streets, Yang Kai suddenly stopped and looked up at a building not far away. The building looks like an attic, with 6 floors, neither too big nor small, but to occupy such a place in this extremely prosperous area, the owner behind this attic is certainly not simple. In fact, the owner of this attic is not a simple person. Because this is Bingshin Pavilion. Yang Kai knew that the owner of Bingshin Pavilion was an extremely powerful emperor senior realm powerhouse, and could even sit on an equal footing with Tongtian Island Master, but this Bingshin Pavilion Master was different from Tongtian Island Master. The former seemed to only control one attic, while the latter but it controls the entire Tongtian Island. When she first came to Tongtian Island, Ling Yinshan sold her goods to a beautiful woman named Fangxin, who was from Bingshin Pavilion. The 3 words Bingshin Pavilion made Yang Kai think of many past events, and Sander also mentioned that besides him, there are 2 people who know the location of the exit, Bingshin Pavilion Master and Tongtian Island Master. It is naturally unrealistic to go to these 2 people to inquire about the exit information. They might not even be able to meet a powerhouse at the third layer emperor level, and even if they do, it is impossible to inquire directly like this. This matter has to be figured out slowly. He always feels that Sander is a bit unreliable. Maybe he is planning some unknown activities. The so-called eggs can't be put in one basket. Yang Kai is thinking about leaving the Void Secret Realm in the future. Sooner or later, he may have to deal with the master of Bingshin Pavilion, so it is better to start this matter now. Outside Bingshin Pavilion, there was a wooden sign, with 2 lines of characters engraved on it. Yang Kai took a closer look, only to find that it was the sign that Bingshin Pavilion was recruiting alchemists. Hiring high-level spirit alchemists, the remuneration is generous. There are only 2 lines of words on the sign, which made Yang Kai's eyes brighten. Moreover, the handwriting is beautiful and penetrating, and there is an indescribable Taoist rhyme hidden in it, as if it came from the hands of an extremely powerful expert. Just as Yang Kai stopped to watch in front of the wooden sign, a beautiful woman suddenly walked out of Bingshin Pavilion, and asked with a smile, "Your brother is an alchemist." He stood motionless in front of the wooden sign, so it was easy to think of some situations. Yang Kai raised his head when he heard the words, and when his 4 eyes met, the beautiful woman said in surprise, "It's you." It turned out to be Senior Sister Fan. Yang Kai smiled and cupped his fists. This beautiful woman is none other than Fan Xin, who bought Ling Yinshan's goods at the pier earlier. "What do you call Senior Sister?" Fan Xin gave Yang Kai a look, and said unhappily, "It's just a lot of people who are called old, and your cultivation level is higher than mine, so you can call me Senior Sister." "Junior Sister Fan." Yang Kai immediately changed his words. "What's your name, brother?" Fang Xin asked. Yang Kai quickly reported his name. Fan Xin pursed her lips and smiled. It turned out to be Senior Brother Yang. "Why, Senior Brother Yang is still an alchemist." "Well, I can barely understand it," Yang Kai said modestly. Fang Xin's beautiful eyes lit up, and she asked eagerly, "What level of alchemist is Senior Brother Yang?" "Daoyuan level." Yang Kai said that his ability was a little bit small. After all, Emperor-level alchemists are lacking there, and Sonde is just a Daoyuan-level refiner. It's good to have admiration. If he is really promoted to Emperor Weapon Master, I'm afraid even the Island Master of the Sky will give him 3 points of courtesy. What is the highest level of elixir that can be refined? When Fan Xin heard that Yang Kai was actually a source-level alchemist, she seemed to be even more enthusiastic. She leaned towards Yang Kai, and suddenly a scent of fragrance rushed to her face. "Come on, let people's hearts flutter. Daoyuan grade product. The product can occasionally be refined successfully, the chance is not high. Senior Brother Yang, would you like to come in and test it out? If you can really refine the source-level spirit pill, I, Bingshin Pavilion, will definitely hire you with a lot of money." "Okay." Yang Kai smiled slightly. He came here to find a backer. After all, he just arrived here, and he might encounter some troubles in the future. If he has a backer, he can live in Tongtian City. Secondly, it is natural I want to meet that Bingshin Pavilion master, and get to know this strong man. Seeing that Yang Kai agreed so readily, Fan Xin was overjoyed, and quickly led Yang Kai to the pavilion. Yang Kai glanced around, and found that Bingshin Pavilion seemed to be a place to sell materials. The goods on those shelves were all kinds of alchemy refining tools and materials for cultivation, and there were no finished pills and secret treasures. And beyond Yang Kai's expectation, the business of this Bingshin Pavilion seems to be not very good. There are only a few 3 or 5 customers inside, and they are watching around. Instead, several women dressed in very similar clothes were accompanying the guests and introducing the goods to them. "You Bingshin Pavilion only accepts women?" Yang Kai asked in surprise. Fan Xin pursed her lips and smiled. "Yes, this is the rule set by the pavilion master." "Then didn't I break the rules?" Yang Kai raised his brows, thinking that the master of Bingshin Pavilion, who is so ignorant, is either a womanizer or a womanizer, so he made such rules. Fan Xin said, "This is different. We are all disciples of the master. If Senior Brother Yang can join Bingshin Pavilion, it is just an employment relationship." "So that's how it is." Yang Kai nodded slightly, but he didn't care about it. He only accepts female disciples, so naturally it is impossible to accept him, let alone Yang Kai would not be willing. To be continued. Chapter 2383 7-Star Dragon Tiger Pill. Notice inside. Phone reading. It's just that Yang Kai couldn't figure it out. How could Bingshin Pavilion, a place that sells materials, think of hiring alchemists? And judging from the material and traces of the wooden sign, it is obvious that it has been placed for some years. In other words, Bingshin Pavilion began to recruit alchemists a long time ago. Seeing Fangxin walking in with Yang Kai, the female disciples of Bingshin Pavilion seemed to be very surprised, and they looked at them with beautiful eyes. These women are all young girls, all of them have beautiful eyebrows, pure and flawless, and they seem to be cultivating. They practice the same exercises, but their cultivation levels were not uniform. Fangxin was only at the second level of Daoyuan, and these girls didn't even have Daoyuan. The most powerful one was only at the first level of Void Return. Others even have Saint King Realm or Saint Realm, and they don't know how the Bingshin Pavilion master recruited disciples. Sister Fan, how many alchemists do you have in Bingshin Pavilion? Yang Kai didn't care about the eyes of those girls looking at him, but asked casually. I originally had one, but I was fired a few days ago. Fan Xin replied. Fired? Yang Kai was stunned. Does that person not care about alchemy? Since they were recruited, why should they be dismissed? Yang Kai couldn't figure it out. Fangxin smiled slightly, but this time she didn't answer, and she didn't know if it was because of something hidden or it was inconvenient to answer. The two of them had already gone up to the third floor while they were talking. Along the way, Yang Kai found that the Bingshin Pavilion was full of materials, and the higher the level, the higher the grade of the materials. At the corner of the third floor, there is a room that looks like a secret room. After Fan Xin led Yang Kai into this place, she said, Senior brother Yang, let's test it here. There is no source of earth fire on Tongtian Island. So here the conditions are a little rough, please bear with me. Nothing. Yang Kai waved his hand, and found that the room occupied a large area, and there were more than a dozen large and small pill furnaces inside, and each of these pill furnaces was of Daoyuan level. 3 of them have even reached Daoyuan level top rank. There are no alchemists in Bingshin Pavilion, but there are so many alchemy furnaces, which are obviously collected deliberately. Yang Kai was puzzled. Logically speaking, since Bingshin Pavilion sells materials, it should sell materials. Why do you have to hire a high-level alchemist? Moreover, so many alchemy furnaces have been prepared. That Bingshin Pavilion master is a powerhouse at the third level of the Emperor Venerable, and he must have no shortage of cultivation resources. After thinking about it, Yang Kai only thought of one possibility. This Bingshin Pavilion master is probably going to refine some kind of panacea. That's why I deliberately searched for some advanced alchemists. You can use these pill furnaces as you like, as long as they are not damaged. Fan Xin pointed to those pill furnaces. I know, but I don't know what panacea Master Fan wants me to refine. Yang Kai turned his head and asked. As long as it is a Daoyuan level middle grade panacea, Senior brother gives the formula, and I will get you the ingredients. Yang Kai nodded, pondered for a while, and said, then refine the 7-star dragon tiger pill. This 7-star dragon and tiger pill is a Daoyuan level middle grade panacea. Its function is to make warriors burst into stronger combat power after taking it, but it has some side effects. Once the effect of the medicine wears off, the whole body will be weak within 2 months, unable to use strength. Not only that, there will be some damage to the meridians and roots. The low-level 7-star dragon tiger pill can increase the warrior's strength by 10%, the middle-level one by 20%, and the high-level one by 30%. If there is a pill pattern, it can directly increase the strength by 50%. The 7-star dragon and tiger elixir is violent. Warriors who are not in the source of Tao cannot take it, and if they take it forcibly, they will only explode and die. But which martial artist who has cultivated to the Daoyuan level is willing to take this kind of pill to forcibly increase his strength? Once the meridians and roots are damaged, it is very likely that it will stop. Therefore, this panacea is like a tasteless existence, and there is not much market for it. Only some desperados will prepare 1 or 2 for self-defense. Yang Kai said the materials of the 7-star dragon tiger pill. Fan Xin wrote it down carefully, and immediately went to prepare. The reason why he chose the 7-star dragon and tiger pill was because the ingredients for this panacea were not hard to find, even on Tongtian Island. Sure enough, not long after, Fan Xin returned again, and brought 10 documents directly. Handed the materials to Yang Kai Dao. Brother Yang, as long as he can make 2 batches of alchemy, he will pass the test. I am waiting outside. If you are ready, please call me. 10 ingredients, 2 batches of alchemy, is not too difficult a test for a true Daoyuan level middle grade alchemist. As long as he puts a little effort into it, he can successfully refine it. It is naturally not a problem for Yang Kai. Now he can even refine emperor level spirit pills, let alone source level middle grade spirit pills. Fan Xin obviously also knew that the alchemist should not be disturbed during alchemy, so she took the initiative to say that she would wait outside. After she left, Yang Kai took out his black jade cauldron, put it in front of him, and activated the fire of his divine consciousness to start refining. Although it was the first time for him to refine the 7-star dragon and tiger pill, he was not jerky at all, his movements were extremely skillful, and the timing of the input of the fire and materials was perfectly controlled. Soon, Yang Kai immersed himself in alchemy. Just when he was concentrating on it, the soul-destroying knife in the sea of a consciousness suddenly shook slightly, waking him up from that emptiness. His expression remained unchanged, and his movements did not stop at all, but he began to examine himself very carefully. It is impossible for Zhenwu to have this abnormality for no reason. The only explanation is what happened to him. He searched and searched, but still found nothing. After a while, he suddenly realized that someone was spying on him. It was because he sensed the presence of a divine sense that didn't belong to him, that's why Zhenwu moved a little bit. But with my own ability, I couldn't even detect this person's prying, which shows that this person's cultivation is far superior to my own. Lord Bingxin. Yang Kai immediately understood who was secretly spying on him. In Bingxin Pavilion, except for the master of Bingxin Pavilion who can't see his head and tail, who else has such a sky-high ability? It seems that he was wrong before. He thought that a strong man like the master of Bingxin Pavilion would definitely live in the best cave in the inner city, but he didn't expect this person to be in Bingxin Pavilion. The entire Bingxin Pavilion has 6 floors, and I am on the 3rd floor, so the owner of the Bingxin Pavilion is most likely on the 6th floor. Such a strong man. What does it mean to secretly pay attention to oneself alchemy? Moreover, what is refined as Daoyuan level middle grade spirit pill? What effect does this spirit pill have on him? Or, this strong man is concerned about his alchemy ability. Thoughts in Yang Kai's mind flashed like lightning, but the movements of his hands did not stop at all. He originally planned to directly refine 2 furnaces of elixir, and then wait for the time to run out before going to Fangxin, but now he knows that Pavilion Master Bingxin is spying on him. How dare he do this? He quietly modified a spirit array in the alchemy furnace. After a while, the alchemy furnace suddenly burst into a muffled sound, followed by a burnt smell. Yang Kai showed a lost expression, and he sighed heavily after a while. It seems to be a pity that the refinement of this batch of panacea has failed. After pouring out the medicine dregs in the alchemy furnace, Yang Kai rested for a while and started refining again. It was already night when Yang Kai came out from Sander, and this refinement went straight to the next morning. When Yang Kai opened the door, Fan Xin, who was waiting outside, immediately greeted her. Fortunately, I did not disgrace my life. There are 3 furnaces of Chengdan, and please ask Sister Fan to check it. Yang Kai handed over 3 jade bottles, each of which contained 4 or 5 7-star dragon tiger pills of different qualities. This is also the normal performance level of a Daoyuan level middle grade alchemist. Fangxin took the jade bottle, but didn't look at it, as if she had expected the result. She smiled softly, and said, Senior Brother Yang passed the test. As long as Senior Brother Yang is willing, he can become my Bingxin Pavilion's alchemist. Of course I am willing. Yang Kai answered bravely. When he entered the Bingxin Pavilion, he had hoped to take the opportunity to meet the master of the Bingxin Pavilion and make him familiar. But now he realizes that the situation in Bingxin Pavilion is also treacherous, so he doesn't know whether it is right or wrong to rashly apply for the alchemist. But now that things have come to this, he can only bite the bullet and agree. Great. Fangxin was overjoyed. Senior Brother Yang, you don't know how difficult it is to find a Daoyuan level alchemist on Tongtian Island. The entire Tongtian Island, there are only a few alchemists of this level. None of them met our requirements. Fortunately, I met you. Yang Kai originally wanted to ask why he didn't agree with the request, but he swallowed the words again. He felt that Fangxin would definitely not answer this question. Senior Brother Yang, it's like this, if you practice alchemy in my Bingxin Pavilion, you can share half of the profits from all the elixirs you sell. Half? Yang Kai looked surprised. It's not that he thinks too little, but too much. He doesn't need to prepare materials, he's just refining alchemy here, and he can share half of the proceeds, which is simply a great thing. 60% is okay. Seeing this, Fan Xin thought he was not satisfied with the reward, and quickly changed her words, and you have seen Senior Brother Yang, our Bingxin Pavilion has more materials, as long as you can make alchemy here, sooner or later it is not a dream to be promoted to the Emperor Alchemist if you can improve your alchemy skills. This sentence is quite true. Bingxin Pavilion has more materials, and if an alchemist wants to improve his level and ability, he needs a lot of materials to practice. If it were any alchemist who entered Bingxin Pavilion, he would be too happy to leave. No, half is fine. Yang Kai waved his hand. Fan Xin was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, Senior Brother Yang is so kind, when can Senior Brother Yang come over to make alchemy? I'm afraid it won't work recently. I'll be in 3 days, well, so it's 2 days later. I have an agreement with someone to deal with it. Come over after I finish dealing with that matter. Yang Kai said. Although Fang Xin was a little disappointed, she didn't dare to force her, and she could only say, of course, it's about Senior Brother Yang's affairs. I also ask Senior Brother Yang to return to Bingxin Pavilion as soon as possible after finishing the matter. To be continued, closing parenthesis. P.S. I have a cold and cough, a fever of 38.5 degrees, my whole body is limp and weak, and even my brain hurts. I tossed and turned all night last night, and basically did tea fall asleep. In this summer, I actually slept wrapped in a quilt. Today I will try my best to make 2 updates. If I really can tea write it, I will update it once. Please forgive me. Wu Lian wrote more than 7 million words. Xiaomo really did tea ask for leave. There is really nothing to do today. R466. Chapter 2384 Out of Town. Walking out of Bingxin Pavilion, Yang Kai went straight to the location where Ling Yinshan and the others' caves were located, and he was going to return the restored jingling formation to them. After walking for a while, he suddenly noticed that someone was staring at him. Yang Kai became very alert and immediately turned his head to look. Over there, a person stared wide-eyed, staring at him in a daze, with an expression of seeing a ghost in daylight, extremely funny. Peng Guang. Yang Kai was also stunned for a moment. He didn't expect to meet this Gaocheng City Lord in Tongtian City. When the great whirlpool of Jixu appeared earlier, he and Yao Changjun were swallowed into the secret territory of Jixu, and Peng Guang, who had been chasing him all the way, was not spared. There was no threat to him, so he was blown away. Yang Kai originally thought that Peng Guang was already in danger. Even if he was a first-layer Emperor Senior, it would be difficult for him to survive in the endless sea of a emptiness. But now it seems that I was wrong. This person's life is really not ordinary. He escaped from the lonely void sea and came to Tongtian Island just like himself. Looking at his dusty appearance, it seems that he just came to Tongtian. The island has only been around for a few days, and I don't know how he did such a thing. Yang Kai was shocked that Peng Guang was still alive, and Peng Guang was much more shocked than him. After all, when he left, only Yang Kai and Yao Changjun were left on the mud island. Seeing Yao Changjun's eagerness to eat people, Yang Kai would have no way out, and he would be torn to pieces by the angry Yao Changjun. What? But now goodbye, Yang Kai is safe and sound, and the dragon is fierce. It is impossible for Yao Changjun not to be Yang Kai's opponent. This kid is still alive. There must be some other reason, or Yao Changjun bypassed him. Just when Peng Guang was wondering whether Yao Changjun had also come to Tongtian Island, Yang Kai grinned at him, raised his thumb and drew half a circle around his neck. Make an owl head action. Peng Guang's face turned black, and he was furious, thinking that this kid is really arrogant. If he is not familiar with this place, he would have made Yang Kai look good. Although both of them saw each other, they didn't intend to communicate. They just stared at each other for a while and then passed by. Yang Kai is not too afraid of Peng Guang. With the power he has now, a first-level Emperor Senior does not need to make him feel too much threat, not to mention, this is still an inner city. The law and order in the inner city is still very good. Yang Kai stayed here for many days, and he never saw anyone fighting and causing trouble. On the contrary, the outer city is like 2 different worlds from this place. If Peng Guang dared to attack in this inner city, Tongtian City's law enforcement team would not easily go around him without him needing to fight back. After a while, Yang Kai found the cave where Ling Yinshan and others lived. It is not far from the location of his own cave, and they are all medium-grade caves. After Yang Kai returned the restored jingling array to Ling Yinshan. After being a guest with her for a while, he left. Returning to her residence, Lu Shanyan greeted her anxiously. It took Yang Kai a day and a night to go, so she couldn't help worrying if something went wrong. On this strange Tongtian Island, she was only familiar with Yang Kai. If even Yang Kai is gone, then she really doesn't know what to do. Time seems to go back several years ago. The two were forced to join the Jade Feather sect together. At that time, she and Yang Kai both had the same illness. It is dependent on each other. I didn't expect to encounter such a similar situation again after several years. Junior sister, I'm going out of town in 2 days. Out of the city? Where are you going? Lu Shanyan was startled and asked hastily. I don't know where to go, but when I went to find the refining master yesterday to repair the spirit formation, he told me that he has a way to leave the secret realm of solitude and he needs my cooperation to get something. Yang Kai said to Lu Xianyun didn't hide anything, and told everything about the agreement between himself and Sander. Lu Shanyan's expression was mixed when he heard the words. The joy is that Yang Kai found a way to leave so quickly, and from Sander's tone, it seems that the success rate is still very high, but the worry is that no one can verify whether what Sander said is true or not, and even if it is true, there may also be many dangers. Do you have to go, brother? Lu Shanyan asked, pursing her red lips. Yang Kai chuckled. If you have hope in front of you, you will naturally grab it. You don't have to worry. I'm not afraid of Sander's conspiracy. If the method of leaving that he mastered is fake, that's fine. It's really the best. But you, will you leave with me or stay here? The reason why Yang Kai told Lu Shanyan this was because he wanted to ask her if she would stay or not. When Lu Shanyan heard it, she immediately understood what Yang Kai meant. If she wanted to be with Yang Kai, she would definitely be taken into that magical space by Yang Kai and took her with her. She had spent some time in that space, and knew that although the place was a bit empty and lonely, the aura was extremely rich, and it didn't have any transforming power, so it could be directly absorbed by people, and it was an extremely magical place. After thinking carefully for a while, Lu Shanyan said, I'd better stay. Yang Kai was stunned. This answer was beyond his expectation. He thought Lu Shanyan would go with him. Lu Shanyan smiled and said, this is the inner city, there is no danger for me to stay here, brother don't have to worry about anything, and, in case Sander's method is unreliable, I can stay here so that I can get familiar with the environment here. Maybe I want to live here forever. Yang Kai saw that she didn't seem to be in a hurry to leave this ghost place, but rather liked living here, and didn't know what to say for a while, so he could only nod and said, then be careful, Ling Yinshan and Zhao Yi they also live not far away. You can walk around with them a lot, they have lived here for so many years, a lot of experience is very valuable. €1. Lu Shanyan smiled sweetly and said, I know, senior brother, you must go early and come back early, I will wait here for you to come back. At the end, she couldn't help lowering her head, her cheeks flushed slightly. Yang Kai felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere, obviously he came here to ask Lu Shanyan for his opinion, why did he say goodbye to husband and wife? He hurriedly responded, then returned to his bedroom, closed his eyes and recovered. 2 days passed by in a flash. In the early morning of the 3rd day, Yang Kai opened his eyes early. After searching with his spiritual mind, he found that Lu Shanyan was sitting cross-legged in another bedroom. He didn't bother her, but left the cave directly. What should be said has been said a few days ago, there is no need to talk nonsense. As soon as you left the inner city, Yang Kai felt that he was being followed. He let out his divine sense, and realized that the person following him was just a Daoyuan first-order martial artist. Although he had practiced a good set of concealment skills, it had little effect under Yang Kai's powerful divine sense. Yang Kai frowned slightly. He had not been in Tongtian City for many days, and he didn't seem to offend anyone during this period, except for a guy named Yu Leping who was beaten up by him. At that time, a young woman reminded Yang Kai that Yu Leping was from the city lord's mansion, and told him to be more careful. Looking at it now, this Yu Leping really has some skills. As soon as he left the inner city, he was followed by someone, and he sent him in all likelihood. The law and order in the inner city is absolutely peaceful, so even if Yu Leping is a member of the city lord's mansion, he dare not do anything to him in the inner city. If he wants to take revenge, he can only do so in the outer city, or wait for Yang Kai to leave Tongtian Island. Yang Kai didn't take it seriously, now that he has a good grasp of the situation of Tongtian Island, except for the Tongtian Island Master and Bingxin Pavilion who make him afraid, no one else can get on the stage. So even if he knew he was being followed, Yang Kai pretended not to notice and went straight to the city gate. At the same time, in a tea house in Tongtian City, Yu Leping was sitting there sullenly. He didn't know what panacea he had taken for his injured arm, but it was more than half healed. Suddenly, he took out a communication bead after searching for a while, his eyes lit up, and he grinned grinningly and said, "Want to leave the city? It's good to leave the city," Hee hee, there is a way to heaven, you don't go, and there is no way to hell, just come and vote. I hope you can find a good place to bury yourself. While speaking, his divine sense surged and sent a message. As soon as he left Tongtian City, Yang Kai knew that Yu Leping didn't intend to do anything to him in the outer city, although he could do the same, but the outer city is still within the scope of Tongtian City, it's better to do whatever he wants in the sea of a emptiness. He came to the pier, stood under a palm tree, and waited quietly with his back against the big tree. At the same time, he secretly looked around to see who might be the helper Sander had invited. The pier is very lively, one after another, there are boats coming in and going out, some are returning from a harvest, some are ready to go to sea with great interest, and some have no harvest and suffered heavy casualties. All kinds of people show the various aspects of life. Yang Kai quickly noticed a beautifully dressed young woman, just like him. This young woman came here alone, standing near the pier, as if waiting for someone. This young woman is round and round, with a very hot figure, but her red lips are a little mean, and her eyes are extremely cold, which makes her look very difficult to provoke. When many warriors approach her, they couldn't help being intimidated by the aura on her body. Seems to have noticed that Yang Kai was watching her, the young woman turned her head and looked at her, not only was not annoyed, but she also had a smile on her face. Yang Kai looked away indiscriminately, but both of them knew that the other party might be a helper invited by Sander, in other words, they would cooperate with each other in the future. Apart from this young woman, Yang Kai didn't see other possible candidates, or they were all hidden. After all, it was impossible for Sander to invite only himself and the young woman, there must be others. To be continued. P.S. It's been 2 days, and I took 4 antipyretics, but it didn't help, and the temperature was still 38 degrees. It seems that I have to get an injection today. R466. Chapter 2385 Strengths and Weaknesses. Phone reading. After waiting for a full hour, there was no sign of Sander. Just when Yang Kai was extremely impatient, wondering if Sander was lying to him, the young woman opposite suddenly took out a message bead and frowned to investigate. Dagger a. This change caught Yang Kai's attention. If this beautiful young woman was the helper invited by Sander, then there must be some clues from her. The young woman quickly put away the message beads, then flew forward and shot towards the depths of the sea. Guessed wrong. Yang Kai was stunned. This young woman left the pier without saying a word. Could it be that she is not with him? When Yang Kai was suspicious, a soft voice suddenly came from his ear. Go after a cup of tea, the sea is waiting for you. This voice was definitely transmitted by the young woman. Reminiscent of the scene where she took out the message bead, Yang Kai immediately understood that it should be Sander who secretly sent a message to her, and then asked her to tell him. After thinking about this point, Yang Kai smiled slightly, thinking that Sander was really cautious in his actions. But I'm afraid he really can't blame him. Sander is too famous in Tongtian City, and he must be easily recognized by others. If people see him leading people out to sea at the pier, it will definitely arouse some people's vigilance, for example, the master of Tongtian Island and the master of Bingxin Pavilion. Now Sander didn't know what method to use, and left Tongtian City without anyone noticing, and then quietly sent a message to the young woman and Yang Kai afterwards, which showed that this person acted carefully. As the young woman said, Yang Kai waited for a cup of tea at the pier before suddenly shaking his body and disappearing in place. The martial artist who had been hiding in the dark to monitor him didn't know what happened. He only saw Yang Kai's body blur for a while, and then disappeared all of a sudden. He was shocked and quickly sent a message to Yu Leping. After a short while, the furious Yu Leping hurried to the pier, looked around gloomily, and quickly fixed his eyes on the depths of the sea. There was no trace of Yang Kai's return in the city, not at the pier. The only explanation is that Yang Kai has already gone to sea. Naturally, Yu Leping didn't want to miss this kind of heaven-sent opportunity, so he immediately sacrificed a large boat and rushed out of the dock with a group of people. Sail to the depths of the sea. Yang Kai flew in the sea for less than half an hour, and saw a large ship moored there in the distance, and there were a few figures on the deck, looking in his direction, and saw him appear. One of them immediately waved a flag in his hand. Seeing this, Yang Kai didn't hesitate and shot toward the boat. After a while, he landed on the deck, and looked up. There were 4 people standing on the deck. The beautiful young woman that Yang Kai saw earlier was among them, and she was staring at him with a smile at this moment, scrutinizing him non-stop, as if to see a flower from Yang Kai's body. The other 2 Yang Kai naturally did not know each other. One of them, with a burly waist and a tiger back, is as strong as a tower, and his burly muscles are like the most exquisite works of art, exuding a unique beauty of color and strength. This person is actually a head taller than Yang Kai. Standing there gave off an extremely violent sense of oppression. The other man didn't look too good, he was ordinary, with no special features all over his body. It seems like the kind that can't be found by the crowd, but this person's expression is extremely indifferent, and looking at the position he is standing, Yang Kai also knows that this person must be an extremely proud person. Because he distanced himself from the beautiful young woman and the burly man, and seemed to disdain to be with them. When he was on the boat just now, he also glanced at it casually, and then looked away, as if he couldn't get into his eyes. The fourth person on this boat is naturally Sander. He seems to have used some secret treasure to change his appearance and aura. If it wasn't for Yang Kai's preconceived ideas, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to recognize him. At this moment, Sander changed from the previous appearance of the old man, but turned into a young man. No wonder he was able to sneak out of Tongtian City without anyone noticing. With the help of this god's secret treasure, what else can he not do? Everyone is here. Seeing Yang Kai coming, Sander's incarnate young man said in a deep voice, "Pinch the spirit artillery," and urged the boat to sail forward. "Although this person is all here, Master, should you introduce us to us? Everyone knows the basics and it is convenient for cooperation." The beautiful young woman suddenly giggled. The meaning of charm makes people's minds flutter when they hear it. When she was speaking, she actually displayed her charming skills, and immediately a vague fragrance wafted from the deck, which made people smell it and feel hot all over. "Snake lady, are you looking for death?" The self-confident young man suddenly snorted coldly, his plain eyes burst into light, he stared coldly at the beautiful young woman and said, "If you don't put away your charming skills, I will throw you into the sea and feed the fish now." The young woman who was called the Snake Lady smiled lightly, she didn't take the young man's threat at all seriously, she just smiled and said, "What are you doing so angry? I'm so scared." When she was speaking, a strange sound suddenly came from the deck. Yang Kai fixed his eyes and felt his scalp tingle. He didn't know when there were a lot of weird snakes and pythons on the deck. They were all big and small, and they all looked poisonous. And at this moment, these snakes and pythons were all around. Beside the young man, the water that surrounded him was impenetrable, constantly swallowing and spitting out the snake core, which seemed extremely penetrating. Pretentious. The young man didn't change his face, he ignored the snakes and pythons, and looked at the snake lady calmly, as if he was not afraid of her at all. When the two came, the atmosphere became so tense, and they didn't know if there was any grievance before. "Whoever dares to make any more noise, get off the old man's boat now." Sander snorted coldly, his majestic eyes swept around, and the snake lady and the young man immediately fell silent. If Sangda is just a master craftsman, he may not be able to restrain such unruly people like them in this lonely void sea. The key is Sander is not only a master craftsman, but his own strength is not inferior to them in the slightest. "Put away these pets of yours, the old man looks flustered," Sander said, glaring at the snake lady. The snake lady pursed her lips and smiled, and said delicately, "Master has an order, so naturally I dare not disobey." She put her hand on her red lips, and whistled softly, and the poisonous snakes all over the deck disappeared in an instant, and she didn't know where they all hid. Sand said, "In fact, you should have heard of each other's names, but you may not have seen each other before, and there is no need for the old man to introduce anything, just report your own name." The snake lady nodded and said, "That's right, I have met a few brothers myself, please take care of me for the next journey." While she was speaking, she kept winking eyes, and her tone was numb and provocative. The proud young man snorted coldly and said, "Shen Fei." After saying his name, he didn't leave it. For him, it seemed that saying one more word was a shame. The burly man chuckled, scratched his head, and said in a buzzing voice, "I'm a man. He looks extremely simple and honest, but everyone knows that if he is deceived by his appearance, he will be the one who is unlucky. None of the guys who can make a name for themselves in Tongtian Island is simple, and the simple people are all dead." Sure enough, it's Brother Man. The snake lady's beautiful eyes lit up, as if she had heard about Man's name for a long time. While speaking, she pressed her delicate body to her, and said delicately, "My sister has been admiring Brother Man's name for a long time, and today I am finally lucky. See, it really lives up to its reputation." While speaking, she stretched out her slender fingers to gently stroke the strong muscles of the man's arm, with a seductive expression of moving her index finger, even her breathing was slightly rapid, and the corners of her eyes were blurry. With spring. Manji puffed up his muscles very cooperatively, he smiled, and said, if my younger sister likes it, feel free to touch it, I am also very good at this skill. Lady Snake licked her red lips, and said, isn't it likely? Brother man doesn't have any other strengths. The man laughed and said, of course there are. How long? It's enough to find out the depth of my sister. Then we can get closer and closer. This pair of dogs and men, in broad daylight and under the eyes of everyone, flirted shamelessly like this, looking like a bastard looking at mung beans, which made Yongkai and others look at him with black lines. What's the name of this friend? It seems to be very familiar. Shen Fei seemed too lazy to look at the adulterer and turned to look at Yongkai and asked. As soon as he said these words, the man and the snake lady also paid attention to Yongkai. Yongkai smiled slightly, cupped his fists and said, Yongkai. Yongkai. Shen Fei frowned, and when the eyes of the two men met, they could see each other's doubts, because they had never heard of Yongkai's name. It turned out to be young brother Yong, disrespectful and disrespectful. The snake lady left the slut and came to Yongkai's side all of a sudden, leaning against him with her delicate body, winking like silk and said, what are the advantages of the little brother? Say hello to my sister. It is good. Yongkai said with a dark face, no, I'm full of shortcomings, and I don't have any strengths. How could it be? Snake lady giggled coquettishly, he's a man, so he should have advantages, little brother, don't be so shy. Yongkai's face turned cold, and he said, Auntie, how old are you? Call me brother, can you be more embarrassing? The smile on the snake lady's face froze all of a sudden, her whole body felt chilly, she turned her head to look at Sander, and said, Master, where did you find this man? I'm going to tear his mouth, okay. Sander's face sank, it seems that you didn't remember what the old man said just now. The branches of the snake girl trembled wildly, and she gritted her teeth and said, Master, I have heard about Brother Man and Shen Fei you invited, and they are also well-known solitary strongmen on the island, but whoever this kid is qualified to work with us. To be continued. Really need to take one day off, sorry. This time I really have to ask for a day off. I have had a fever for several days. I went through the hospitalization procedures yesterday. Today I have to do various examinations. Some of the examinations in the hospital are carried out without eating or drinking, so I can't do this chapter this morning. It's updated, and I need to get a drip after the inspection. This time I had a severe cold. I had no strength for several days, and I felt limp. I couldn't sleep well. In summer, I didn't even dare to blow on the fan. Everyone should take precautions. Although the weather is hot, don't be too greedy for cold, and pay more attention to your body. To be continued. Chapter 2386 So Stupid and Naive. Phone reading. Hearing what she said, Yongkai understood that these people Sander had selected were all extremely powerful and had no background, no wonder he needed 5 years to prepare for this matter. To read the latest chapter of this book, please go to www.reminex.com, a popular novel website. It seems that there are not many people who meet his requirements. Whether he is qualified, the old man has tested it himself. If you have any opinions, you can get off the boat now. Sander snorted. The snake lady almost gnawed her silver teeth to pieces. She knew that falling out with Sander would be fruitless. After thinking about it for a while, she suddenly smiled coldly and said, what happens after that? Sander said lightly, after it's done, you can do whatever you want, but before it's done, be honest with me. Lady Snake nodded heavily, and said, okay, then I'll wait. While speaking, he glared at Yongkai viciously, and said, boy, apologize to me as soon as possible, otherwise I will make you look good. Yongkai turned his head and threw the back of the snake lady's head. The snake lady was so angry that she almost gnawed her silver teeth. If it wasn't for this woman being so shameless, Yongkai wouldn't have given her face at all. After all, everyone will cooperate in the future. But this woman doesn't know self-love at all. If Yongkai gives her a good face, I'm afraid she will really stick to her. Yongkai has no interest in her at all. Well, what's the matter with that building ship? Shen Fei frowned suddenly, looked in the direction of Tongtian City, and said in a deep voice, could it be for us? A-1/2 T. The building boat of the city lord's mansion. The man's expression froze, and he could clearly see the sign on the building boat. Looking at its direction, it seems that it is really coming for us. The snake lady was not in the mood to worry about those trivial matters with Yang Kai. Her pretty face sank, she turned her head and looked around and shouted, "Is it someone among you who leaked it? Information." As soon as this remark came out, Sander's face changed drastically, and his eyes gleamed with anger. His eyes swept across the faces of Yang Kai and the others. "It's none of my business." Shen Fei was the first to clear the relationship. Shen is used to being alone, but he has no habit of leaking secrets. "Me too," man said. Lady Snake sneered, and said, "It's not the two of you, nor is it a concubine, and it's even more impossible for the master to reveal it. The only possibility." While she was speaking, her beautiful eyes looked towards Yang Kai, and she sneered continuously. Read the full text of the latest chapter. Yang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said, "It is indeed me." Seeing him admitting so readily, Snake Lady and the others were stunned, and then the three of them flickered and surrounded Yang Kai in the middle, their source force secretly mobilizing, ready to strike at any time. The Snake Lady said, "If you don't give me a reasonable explanation today, you will be buried above the sea." Sander's face sank like water, and he looked at Yang Kai coldly, with a look of extreme dissatisfaction. It was only 3 days before and after he asked Yang Kai to cooperate, but he didn't want to be betrayed so soon, so he was naturally annoyed. Yang Kai tilted his head, looked at Sangda, and said indifferently, "The person on the upstairs boat is called Yuewen." "Master, don't I need to explain more?" When Sander heard this, his frown gradually relaxed. Said, "So, you didn't leak the secret, he just came for revenge." The last time Yang Kai had some conflicts with Yuewen in front of Sander's residence, Sander also knew about it. Now that he is the one chasing him, how could Sander not know the whole story? Not leaked information. Then Yuewen chased Yang Kai over, just to avenge the last time. "Do you have a problem with Yuewen?" Shen Fei also put away his hostility and asked suspiciously. Of course, they all know about Yuewen, a strong man in the city lord's mansion. Daoyuan third layer realm level, it can be considered a bit of real power in the city lord's mansion. "It's a little thing," Yang Kai chuckled, "it's just that one of his arms was crippled at Grandmaster's gate a few days ago. Who knew he held grudges so much?" One of his arms was crippled. Snake Lady and the others all changed their expressions when they heard this. Yuewen was at the third level of Daoyuan, and his strength was about the same as them. Yang Kai was able to abolish the opponent's arm, which showed that his strength was much stronger than Yuewen's. In other words, the true strength of this little-known Yang Kai must not be underestimated. For a while, the eyes of Lady Snake and others looking at Yang Kai became serious, especially Lady Snake. She didn't take Yang Kai seriously before, but now, she had to re-examine the relationship with Yang Kai. "Is there any benefit to myself? Master, what should we do now?" The man frowned at Sander. "You can't hand over Brother Yang." Sander just pondered for a while, and then said decisively, "If you don't see it, keep going." While speaking, he pinched the spirit Jew with his hand to stimulate his own source power, and the speed of the boat suddenly accelerated a lot. Seeing him act like this, everyone understood what he was planning. Sander obviously wanted to lure Yuewen and others to the depths of the sea, and then kill them to silence them. The few people he invited were all from the Daoyuan third layer realm. Although there were not many of them, each of them was a top expert in the Daoyuan realm. As soon as the building boats are added here, the building boats of the city lord's mansion behind seem to appear, and they are immediately lifted up, chasing after them. A day later, the 2 building boats were tens of thousands of miles away from Tongtian Island. And half a day ago, the chasing building boats kept waving flags, as if ordering Sander and others to stop, but Sander ignored it, pretending not to see it, and charged forward with all his strength. It wasn't until it was far enough away from Tongtian Island that Sander slowly lowered the speed of the building boat and gradually moored on the sea. Half an hour later, the building boat of the city lord's mansion finally approached, and Yuewen was standing on the deck with a gloomy face that almost dripped water. After the 2 building boats were close together, Yuewen suddenly moved and came directly to Sander's building boat, and there were many warriors from the city lord's mansion who followed him. A rough count, at least there were as many as 15, and a few remained on deck. "Are you blind? Didn't you see my order to stop the boat?" Yuewen shouted angrily as soon as he came up. It turned out to be Master Yu. The snake lady twisted the waist of the water snake, and greeted her gracefully, and said with a pretty smile, "Why is Master Yu so interested in running to this sea? If I had known that Master Yu was following behind, no matter what I say, I won't tea leave. A euro." Snake lady, Yu Leping seemed to know Snake Lady. Seeing that she was on the upstairs boat, he couldn't help frowning, and distanced himself without a trace. Obviously he also knew that Snake Lady was not easy to mess with, she was just a snake and a scorpion. Beautiful woman, nothing good would come of getting involved with her. My lord, did you come after him? The Snake Lady was still showing off, giggling, if your lord wants to be a concubine, just give me an order, why bother chasing so hard? Yu Leping had black lines on his face, and said with disgust, none of your business. While speaking, he glanced at Yang Kai, with a smirk on his face, but soon he was stunned again, looked at the two people beside Yang Kai, and asked suspiciously, Chen Fei, you are a scumbag. Sander used the secret treasure to change his appearance, but he didn't recognize it. How did you guys get mixed up? Yu Leping looked at a loss. Both the Snake Lady and Shen Feiman are well known on Tongtian Island, because the three of them are powerful, and they have always been alone, and have never joined any forces. There are no such people on the island. Too much. There is obviously something wrong with these few strong men who are like lone rangers appearing on the same boat. But soon, Yu Leping seemed to realize something, and said brightly, what are you going to do when you go to sea together? Snake Lady and the others are all unprofitable fellows. It is obvious that they have a conspiracy to gather them together. Maybe they found some precious treasures, which is why they got together. Thinking of this possibility, Yu Leping's heart became hot. He came here to chase Yang Kai, but he didn't want to accidentally discover such a secret. Doesn't this mean that he can also get a share? The treasure that can make these people fancy is definitely useful to me. I'm bored staying on the island, come out to look at the sea and appreciate the boundless beauty, adults should take care of this. Snake Lady giggled. Yu Leping said with a sullen face, do you take yourself for a fool, or do you take me for a fool? The warriors of the city lord's mansion who followed Yu Leping also had their complexions darkened, and all of them looked fiercely at Snake Lady and the others. I'm used to arrogance, so I really didn't put Snake Lady and others in my eyes. I suspect that you will go to sea and want to do something that is not good for Tongtian Island. Now you all go back with me to accept the investigation, and those who violate the order will be killed without mercy. Yu Leping waved his hand and shouted in a cold voice. It seems, Master Yu is a fool. The Snake Lady pursed her lips and smiled coquettishly. Yu Leping's face sank, and he shouted, how dare you scold me? The Snake Lady said, I am just telling the truth, if you are not a fool, how could you jump on other people's boat? The man also snorted coldly beside him, you still think this is Tongtian Island? Yu Leping's complexion changed drastically, and he finally realized that something was wrong. He was domineering and arrogant on Tongtian Island, and everyone was afraid of him. His face. But looking at it now, that's not the case at all. Without the protection of the city lord's mansion, he is just a warrior at the third level of Daoyuan. There is no one in the depths of the sea, so even if something happens, no one else will know. Sensing the malicious intentions in the eyes of the man and others, Yu Leping turned pale with shock, and quickly said, wait, this seat is going to sea this time, just for this kid. He pointed at Yang Kai while speaking, and said in a deep voice, there is some grievance between me and him, you hand him over to me, and I will return to Tongtian Island immediately. Lady Snake sighed slightly, shook her head and said, Master Yu, you are so stupid and naive, I can't bear to hurt you anymore. To be continued. P.S. Thank you for your concern and comments. Forgive me for not replying one by one. The fever has subsided, and there seems to be no major health problem. It is just a bad cold and I am recovering. I will update it twice today. Chapter 2387 Life is cheap. When she finished speaking, a few screams suddenly came out. Yu Leping's complexion changed drastically, and they all turned their heads to look, only to see that several warriors on his side turned blue, foamed at the mouth, and fell down tremblingly, lifeless in the blink of an eye. Snakes, so many snakes. Someone yelled in horror. The deck was covered with densely packed snakes, big and small, and the air was immediately filled with a disgusting smell, obviously formed by the gathering of snake venom, which made people smell it. A little dizzy. A strange sound came out, and Lady Snake put a soft hand on her lips and blew lightly. The poisonous snakes jumped up from the spot as if they had received an order, and shot at Yu Leping and the others like arrows. A few warriors with lower strength were already dizzy from the snake venom, they couldn't avoid it for a while, and were directly bitten. In less than 10 breaths of time, these warriors who were bitten fell straight down and died on the spot. Seeing that Lady Snake had already made a move, the savage shouted loudly, took out a huge copper hammer that was taller than a human, and swiped forward with it. Those warriors in the city lord's mansion were already flustered by the boundless poisonous snake, and they instinctively jumped high into the sky, trying to avoid the poisonous snakes all over the ground. The source force exploded, and the vortex of power rolled up on the giant hammer seemed to have infinite suction, making it impossible for the few people who were close to the vortex to advance or retreat. Boom, a euro. A muffled sound came out, and several city lord mansion warriors were smashed to pieces on the spot, leaving no bones left. Before the lucky survivors had a chance to breathe, Sander, who had been silent all this time, suddenly snorted coldly, and a formation flag appeared out of thin air in his hand, and he threw the formation flag somewhere in the void, instantly. A formation of light flickered on the ship, which not only wrapped the whole ship airtight, but also had some air-trapping power. The warriors who flew into the air all exclaimed and fell from above. Chi. With a long sword in his hand, Shen Fei was full of murderous intent, like a breeze swept into the crowd. The whereabouts are erratic, the long sword is shot one after another, each shot has a harvest, and the enemies screamed and fell to the ground. How dare you attack me? Yu Leping no longer had the composure he had before, his hair was disheveled, and his body was covered in blood. Although he was not killed in the round of sneak attack just now, he was undoubtedly seriously injured. As for the 15 warriors of the city lord's mansion who followed him, only 3 remained in the blink of an eye. These 3 are all fighters at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. Although they are in the same realm, Yu Leping is the strongest among them. Although the 3 of them were in a state of distress at the moment, they acted as horns for each other, constantly resisting attacks from all directions but managed to hold their ground. Snake Lady and the others couldn't attack madly, and immediately slowed down the attack, so as not to force too much and make Yu Leping make irrational actions. And the other side, on the building boat of the city lord's mansion, the warriors who stayed behind fought violently when they saw this side. Moreover, our own side suffered heavy losses, everyone's face turned pale with fright, and they were all dumbfounded, and they didn't escape immediately. Boy, you are actually lazy. Snake Lady screamed hysterically as she looked at Yang Kai as if she had discovered a new continent. After a fight just now, everyone shot. Only Yang Kai didn't do anything, he just stood there, as if enjoying a good show. What happened today was clearly caused by Yang Kai, if it wasn't for him having a feud with Yu Leping. Naturally, it is impossible for the opponent to catch up to the sea, thus leading to this battle. But they all made a move, but Yang Kai, the person involved, had a face of indifference. How could this make Lady Snake not annoyed? Although Shen Fei and Man Yi didn't say anything, they both showed displeasure on their faces. Who said I was being lazy? Yang Kai retorted sharply, with a look of disgust on his face. I'm blinding your dog eyes, I'm just standing up for you. The branches of the Snake Lady trembled wildly. She found that this boy named Yang Kai was extremely hateful. Since he got on the boat, he has been disrespectful to himself, and against himself everywhere, as if he had some deep hatred with him. Now dare to open your eyes and say nonsense. You are obviously lazy and slippery, but you still say you are holding the line. It is shameless. She gritted her silver teeth and swore in her heart that she must show Yang Kai a good look, so that he would know what would happen if he offended a woman. Since it's a battle, now it's time to use you. These 3 people will be handed over to you. Sander seemed dissatisfied with Yang Kai's passive sabotage attitude, and said in a cold voice. What about the people over there? Yang Kai stretched out his hand and pointed at the warriors who were still on the boat in the city lord's mansion. These warriors didn't know if they were inexperienced in facing the enemy or they were really scared. They didn't think of escaping until Yang Kai pointed at them, and they started to flee in a panic. Leave these people to the old man, you only need to deal with Yu Leping and the others. Sander snorted, and jumped up from the building boat, like a big rock spreading its wings, chasing after the fleeing warriors. Those people's cultivation level is not high, and they are only responsible for taking care of the building boat. Even if they flee separately at this moment, they will definitely not be able to escape Sander's pursuit. Death is a matter of time. Stinky boy, don't do it yet. Seeing that Yang Kai was still standing there, the Snake Lady couldn't help but urge her. Although she and Shen Feiman and the 3 of them worked together to trap Yu Leping and the 3 of them in place, they couldn't move, but the 3 of them were not mediocre, and with the cooperation of each other, their defense was impeccable. Yi Chong has many dreams, Brother Yang, hurry up and do it. Shen Fei urged impatiently. Brother Yang, a few days ago, Yu was blind and offended Brother Yang, and he asked Lord Yang to come around me a lot this time, and I, Yu Leping, will be rewarded. Seeing Yang Kai looking towards him, Yu Leping's face turned pale, he begged for mercy very quickly. If he knew that going out to sea would be life-threatening, how could he act so rashly? Wouldn't it be nice to stay honestly on Tongtian Island? No one would dare to disrespect him when he enjoys the blessings on the island. It's just that he didn't expect that he, who spoke so much on Tongtian Island, would be a fart when he came to the depths of the sea. People like Snake Lady are not easy to mess with. He knew it was useless to beg them, so he could only go to begging Yang Kai. I have millions of source crystals, I can give them all to Brother Yang, I just ask Brother Yang to let me go. Yu Leping seemed to know that empty promises can't win people's trust, so he quickly released some dry goods. Millions of source crystals. Snake Lady and the others heard this, their eyes all turned red. Although they are well known and powerful in Tongtian Island, the source crystals they earned hard-earned are barely enough for their own use, and there is no balance at all. Now that Yu Leping has a million source crystals, it seems like it was the hungry wolf who couldn't bear to look away after seeing fresh meat. If you can get this million source crystals, then this trip will be prosperous. Thinking of this, the Snake Lady quickly winked at Yang Kai, signaling him to make a promise first, and let's talk about it after getting the million source crystals. Yang Kai ignored him, looked at Yu Leping with contempt, and said, just want to buy your life with a million source crystals. Merely. Snake Lady and the others all turned black when they heard it. Million yuanjing is also called merely. Does this kid have no concept of numbers? Yu Leping said with a mournful face, Brother Yang, my life is cheap. I see, you are a bitch. Yang Kai snorted. Yu Leping said, Brother Yang, you should go around me in large numbers. People under the eaves, how dare not bow their heads? Even though he knew the hope was slim, Yu Leping couldn't give up looking for that glimmer of hope. Yang Kai sneered, turned his head, looked at the other two warriors beside Yu Leping, and said, do you want to live or die? The two warriors were already frightened by the beating, and they didn't know when the defense would be broken through. Listening to Yang Kai's question at this moment, they hurriedly nodded and said, I want to live. Listening to what Yang Kai said, they seemed to have a way out. If you want to live, help me kill him. Yang Kai pointed at Yu Leping, and said, I have some grievances with this person, it has nothing to do with you, as long as you help me kill him, I will let you live. As soon as this remark came out, Yu Leping's face changed drastically, while the expressions of the other two warriors of the city lord's mansion changed, as if they were considering the gains and losses. Yu Leping shouted, two brothers, don't listen to him, this person wants to drive us apart, if you is dead, they will definitely not let you go. While speaking, he turned his head and stared at Yang Kai and shouted, you are so insidious. What? Knowing that Yang Kai would never let him go, Yu Leping didn't bother to beg for mercy. But the two city lord mansion warriors frowned, they didn't know that Yang Kai was trying to sow discord, but at the critical moment of life and death, Yang Kai's proposal still made people tempted. Both of you, could you be? Yu Leping observed his words and was horrified. If these two people were successfully provoked by Yang Kai, then there would be no way for him to survive. As soon as he thought of this, he let out a long cry, gathered all his strength, and his whole body shot up from the spot like an arrow from the string, and he wanted to escape from this place. Yu Leping, you. The expressions of the remaining two warriors changed drastically. The reason why they have been safe and sound is firstly because the three of them worked together to defend air tightly, and secondly because Snake Lady and the others did not dare to force too much, so they can barely maintain a balance. But now that Yu Leping was shocked and abandoned the two of them on his own initiative, a huge hole suddenly appeared in this defensive circle. The barbarian's huge hammer swept across, and the poisonous snakes gathered around the two of them also swarmed up, engulfing the two of them in the blink of an eye. And Yu Leping rushed out less than 5 feet high, and fell down in embarrassment. The air ban on this building seems to be extremely high level, and he is not able to compete at all. Shen Fei, who had been prepared for a long time, came to kill with a long sword wrapped in rainbow light, and directly rolled Yu Leping into his sword screen. To be continued. R752. Chapter 2388 Carve Up. Phone reading. A few screams came, and the two warriors of the city lord's mansion were killed instantly. Yu Leping's condition seemed not to be much better, covered by Shen Fei's sword curtain, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through, and the wounds on his body continued to increase. Dagger A figure suddenly flashed past, and Yang Kai appeared behind him strangely, punching him. Yu Leping had dealt with extreme hardships, how could he guard against Yang Kai's sneak attack? This punch hit his back directly, a powerful force gushed out, Yu Leping spurted out a mouthful of blood, his body was driven by the huge force, and he took a few steps forward. Shen Fei came to him with a sword, and with a swoop of the sword light, his head flew out, and blood rushed out of the headless body like a fountain. The next moment, Shen Fei suddenly reached out and grabbed Yu Leping's space ring. Earlier, Yu Leping said that he would give Yang Kai 1,000,000 source crystals, which shows that this person is extremely rich, and once he dies, Yu Leping's space ring will naturally become a favorite. But before Shen Fei succeeded, Yang Kai suddenly shouted, "Brother Chen, what do you want to do?" When the words fell, a punch slammed towards Shen Fei, extremely powerful. Shen Fei frowned, and didn't have the heart to entangle with Yang Kai, but turned his body slightly to avoid the blow, his hand the target is still that space ring. But at this moment, there was a sound of breaking through the air, and immediately a dark green shadow wrapped around Yu Leping's wrist. When Shen Fei grabbed it with his big hands, the green shadow bit him like an arrow from the string, accompanied by a hissing sound. Only now did Shen Fei realize that the green shadow was actually a stick like a bamboo stick. Like a venomous snake. He was horrified and immediately withdrew his hands for fear of being bitten. The green poisonous snake was extremely flexible, seeing that Shen Fei stopped and did not pursue it, it just curled Yu Leping's finger, and the space ring disappeared, then straightened up, and shot towards the snake lady. Yang Kai and Shen Fei landed slowly, both looking at Lady Snake with gloomy expressions. Previously, the two fought with each other, allowing the snake lady to reap the benefits of the fisherman. This made the two of them naturally feel bad. And the man seemed to react a little slower, and only now came back to his senses, staring at the ring on the snake lady's hand. "Three brothers, why are you staring at him like this, as if you want to eat people? He is so scared." While speaking, the snake lady sent the space ring into her arms without a trace. Shen Fei swung his long sword across, pointed at Lady Snake and said, "If you dare to make any changes, don't blame me for being rude to you." "What are you doing?" Snake lady froze, but she didn't dare to continue. Holding the space ring in her hand, she couldn't stop laughing. "You know what to do." Shen Fei snorted coldly, turned to look at the man and said, "Brother man, there may be millions of source crystals in the ring, what do you think?" The barbarian chuckled and said, "The ill-gotten gains are naturally yours and mine." Yang Kai looked at Shen Fei in astonishment, and said dissatisfied, "Why don't you ask me?" Shen Fei said, "How could Brother Yang see a mere 1,000,000 source crystals?" These words were obviously ridiculing what Yang Kai had said to Yu Leping before. "I saw it. I'm very poor," Yang Kai said with a straight face, although he really didn't look down on the 1,000,000 source crystals, but at this time and place, he couldn't show it at all, otherwise, it would definitely make the ship a little bit worse. Man doubts himself. Millions of source crystals are indifferent in front of them, and anyone can guess one or two. Yang Kai shouted, "This matter has to be counted on me, so don't be unkind." Shen Fei frowned, knowing that he definitely couldn't get rid of Yang Kai, he fought with Yang Kai earlier. Already aware that Yang Kai's strength is not weaker than him, thinking of this, he can only say, "Snake lady, do you want to be an enemy of the three of us by yourself? If you are sensible, you should know what to do." The snake lady gritted her teeth, with a look of hatred. "But seeing the three big men such as the Mengling staring at each other like a tiger, I also know that it is impossible to monopolize Yu Leping's space ring. If I do this, it will definitely arouse public anger. Shen Fei and Man Xie. Not to mention, she hasn't experienced how strong that brat named Yang Kai is. Here you are." Snake lady threw the space ring at Shen Fei in a fit of rage, and said with an aggrieved face, "I know how to bully people." She looks like she is about to cry. If people who don't know the inside story see it, it will definitely arouse pity, and hate Yang Kai and others for bullying others. This time Yang Kai didn't go to intercept the ring, and let Shen Fei hold it. The next moment, Shen Fei's spiritual thoughts surged, apparently trying to break the restriction of the ring. For a while, Yang Kai and the others all stretched their necks, watching eagerly, with greedy expressions on their faces. After a while, Shen Fei's face suddenly showed joy, and everyone immediately knew that he had broken the restriction. "How many?" the man asked impatiently. Shen Fei also seemed a little excited, and said, "Look for yourself." Saying so, he stretched out his hand, and he arranged a super purification spirit array on the deck, and then he got out all the things in the ring. In an instant, the deck was piled up to the brim, and as far as the eye could see, the hill-like source crystals almost blinded Snake Lady and the others. No one knew exactly how many of these source crystals were there, but the scale looked at least 1,000,000. When Yueping said that he has millions of source crystals, he was really not joking. His cultivation base is almost the same as that of Snake Lady and others, but he lives a carefree life. Just barely enough for my own use. When the two sides faced each other, Lady Snake and the others felt a little unbalanced. It's really abominable. A small steward of the city lord's mansion in the district has searched so many people's fat and people's anointing. It's really insane. Heaven and earth can be punished. Yang Kai gritted his teeth and scolded. These words reached the hearts of Snake Lady and the others. Yueping was indeed just a small steward in the city lord's mansion, and he actually possessed such a huge amount of wealth, so what about the others? What about the rest of Yueping's higher status? Yueping must have more wealth, right? Let's divide up first. The man licked his lips and said excitedly. How many people? Snake Lady asked. Aren't there 4 of us? How many people do you want to share? Manji replied with a look of course. Shenfei and Yang Kai looked at each other but didn't answer. Then share it quickly. Lady Snake also made up her mind and waved her hand. At that moment, the 4 of them divided the contents of Yueping's ring equally, and all of them were beaming with joy, as if they had picked up a huge bargain. Nearly 20 warriors died during this trip to the city lord's mansion. Apart from Yueping's ring, there were naturally other trophies. Outside of the last 2 Daoyuan 3rd level realms who were lingering with Yueping, the space rings of other people only had a few hundred source crystals at most, and dozens at most, which was so poor that it made people sad. There are some things in the space rings of the 2 Daoyuan 3rd layer realms, but the overall value is not as good as 1/10 of Yueping's, and Yang Kai and the other 4 have tilly divided up the matter. After about half a cup of tea, a figure suddenly appeared in the sea. The figure flew straight to this side and quickly landed on the deck. It was Sander who was chasing after him. Judging by his appearance, it is obvious that those escaped guys have been driven to death. Master, what should we do with this building boat? Snake Lady looked at the building boat moored aside with some excitement, and asked. If you want, you can refine it yourself. Sander replied lightly. The Snake Lady was overjoyed, and when she was about to fly over, Sander said again, let's keep going. The Snake Lady's face darkened, but she didn't dare to argue too much with Sander. Not long after, the building boat continued to sail forward. To the surprise of Snake Lady and the others, Sander did not ask them about the loot after they came back, as if they had forgotten, but this is what they expected. La refused. Yang Kai knew that Sander didn't forget, but didn't care. This guy has been refining weapons in Tongtian Island for 900 years, and he has been soft on the benefits. In terms of wealth, even 10 Yueping may not get Sander. How can some mere spoils of war fall into his eyes? It's better not to know. After a fierce battle, Snake Lady and the others seemed a little tired, so they went into the cabin to meditate and rest. Although Yang Kai wasn't tired, he wasn't good at being independent, so he also walked into his room and closed his eyes to concentrate. As the days passed, Sander's destination seemed to be extremely far away from Tongtian Island. The boat sailed for more than half a month, but still hadn't arrived. During this period of time, everyone took turns to rest and control the sailing direction of the building ship, but nothing happened. Occasionally encountering a sea beast attack is not dangerous. Sander's building ship seems to be of extremely high grade. Although it is not yet at the level of Emperor Treasure, it is definitely at the peak of Daoyuan level. Those huge sea beasts hit it, but they can't damage the building ship at all. It's no wonder that Sander himself is a peak Daoyuan level refiner, so how can he not refine his secret treasures with care? Not only is this building solid, but it is also equipped with many formations and restraining forces, such as the air restricting force and the restraining light curtain that restrict Yueping's actions, which are some of the functions of this building ship. Yang Kai even suspects that Sander has refined this boat to his heart. In this boat, Sander can dominate everything, and any troubles can't be concealed from his perception. If he wanted to deal with Snake Lady and the others on the boat, it would be an easy task. But as long as Sander hasn't reached the level of madness, he will definitely not do this. He also needs a few people on the ship to help him get that tool. On this day, Yang Kai, who was meditating in the cabin, suddenly noticed a sudden shaking of the building and immediately stopped quickly. He raised his brows, realizing that he should have arrived somewhere, and hurried out of the cabin. To be continued. Chapter 2389 The Lair of the Imperial Array Master. Phone reading. Yang Kai was the first to come to the deck, and Sander was already standing there, and after a while, the man and others also came up. Looking around, the sea is sparkling, stretching as far as the eye can see, and under the blue sky and white clouds, there is a beautiful scene of calm and calm. Master, why don't you leave? Snake Lady turned her head around and asked suspiciously. Here we are, Sander replied, although his tone was calm, anyone could feel his slight excitement. When everyone heard the words, they all looked stunned, and looked around again, with uncertain expressions. The surrounding area is just a vast ocean, no different from other places. How did it arrive at the place? The old man's formation skills are extremely high. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is an imperial formation master. There is a large formation of water and light in front of him. It is normal for you to see nothing. Sand looked at the front and explained. He sneered, if you can see it, then there is a problem. Emperor Master. Shen Fei's complexion changed, and he frowned. Master, you never said that this is the lair of the Emperor Master. Are you kidding me? The group of them actually wanted to force their way into the lair of an Imperial Master. Isn't this no different from courting death? Even if an Emperor Formation Master is dead, how many killing formations should be arranged in his lair? How can there be any good fruit to eat if you rush in rashly? I'm afraid that they will be bombarded and killed, and there will be no scum left. Although the Snake Lady and the man did not speak, their expressions were full of worry and fear, obviously extremely frightened. If you are afraid, you can leave now. Sander snorted coldly. Shen Fei's face turned cold, and he felt extremely unhappy, feeling like he was on a pirate ship. At this time, Sander told him to go. Isn't this a joke? Not to mention whether he can pat his ass and leave like this, even if he can leave. I am not reconciled either. Since the master brought us here, he must have his own reasons. What are you worried about? Yang Kai cast a glance at Shen Fei and said coldly. Lady Snake smiled when she heard the words, nodded her head and said, yes, master must have been prepared. We just need to follow master's orders. Sander turned his head to look at the crowd, and said, if you really think so, then naturally it would be the best. From now on, I don't want to hear any doubts. Do whatever I ask you to do. If you don't want to cooperate, get out early. No one answered. Who would refute him at this time? Sander nodded in satisfaction. Very good. Although this water and light formation is amazing, the formation is dead and people are alive. If the old thing is still alive, the old man may not be able to break it, but he is already dead. Yes, He sneered continuously, and while speaking, his body flickered, and he flew out of the upstairs boat, beckoning at the same time, come with me. Yang Kai and the others followed without saying a word. Next, Sander seemed to start turning around a place in a big circle, constantly taking out a pole of array flags from his space ring and throwing them into the void while turning around. When arriving at a particular location, he will also make one of Yang Kai and the others stop, and give him a control flag to stand by. Seeing that he is so familiar and confident, everyone has confidence in him, and there is no longer any hesitation or objection. Very cooperative with his command and actions. After about half an hour, everything was ready. The 5 people stood in 5 different directions, each holding a control flag in their hands, ready to fight. Suddenly, there was a sudden shout from Sander. Immediately afterwards, the source power over there fluctuated repeatedly. Seeing this, the other 4 immediately urged the source force to pour into the battle flag in their hands according to Sander's previous instructions, and shot into the void in front of them. In an instant, within a large area on the sea surface, 5 rays of light were like rainbows from outside the sky, running through east, west, north, south, and closely connected. At the same time, the formation flags secretly arranged by Sander also played a role. Under the mobilization of the 5 control formation flags, they suddenly produced a strange resonance and exuded a strange power fluctuation. Visible to the naked eye, a transparent semicircular light curtain appeared out of thin air on the sea surface. The huge light curtain was like a big upside-down bowl, covering the sea surface. Through the light curtain, something different from the view of the sea. Seeing this scene, everyone immediately knew that what Sander said was correct. This place was indeed the lair of a strong man, but it was hidden by a powerful formation. What Sander has to do now is to break through this formation and let this place reappear. As the 5 people continued to push the power, the scenery inside the transparent light curtain gradually became clear. Yang Kai watched carefully, and found that this is just a small island. The area is not too big, but the scenery is very good. The island is full of rocks, lush vegetation, a pleasant scene. I don't know how San's master found this place, but it is indeed a good place to live here. If you can't leave this secret place of loneliness, you can choose to live alone here. It's a pity that the expert was blind and accepted Sander as a traitor, which caused him to have no peace after death, and was brought by Sander to disturb his tranquility. After more than half an hour, Yang Kai and the others had exhausted a lot of power, and almost felt that they could not make ends meet, and the scenery of the small island in the transparent light curtain was finally completely presented in the eyes of everyone. At this moment, there seemed to be some movement on Sander's side. Yang Kai and the others only noticed that after the formation flags arranged around the island buzzed together, a huge force burst out, and immediately shattered the transparent light curtain. The huge burst of power shocked Yang Kai and others who were unprepared, and almost suffered a dull loss. But looking at this posture, the watery and multicolored array covering the island to hide its tracks has also been cracked. Sander has taken the lead and landed towards the island. Seeing this, everyone naturally showed their body skills one after another, not falling behind. Not long after, the 5 of them gathered on the island and stood on the edge of the island. Sander didn't move, and no one dared to move. After all, this is the old lair of the Emperor's formation master, and a wrong step may lead to death. After pondering for a while, San said, "There are still many formations on this island, and the old man is going to crack them one by one. Will you wait for me here, or come with the old man?" After speaking, he added, "The old man, I suggest you wait here for me." Before the others could speak, Lady Snake hurriedly said, "This island is so dangerous, I feel safe following the master." "Are you sure?" Sander glanced at the snake lady lightly. Lady Snake pursed her lips and said with a coquettish smile, "Master has brought her here, but she is responsible for protecting her. She can also make a show of showing off to an old man like Sander, and she doesn't know if it's her nature or a habit of acting." "What about you?" Sander turned to look at the others again. The man scratched his head, chuckled, and said, "I'll follow master as well." Shen Fei frowned and glanced at Yang Kai. "I'm tired, I want to rest here, call me when you're done." After Yang Kai finished speaking, he actually sat down cross-legged. Shen Fei said, "Then I will stay too, and be a companion with Brother Yang." Yang Kai glanced at him with a half-smile. Shen Fei's face remained unchanged. "Then you two come with the old man." Sander sneered, greeted the snake lady and the man, and immediately led the way. "Those two people look at me and I look at you, and they don't know whether this choice is right or wrong, but the matter has come to this point, so they can only bite the bullet and keep up." After the 3 disappeared from sight, Shen Fei suddenly looked at Yang Kai and said, "Brother Yang, if you don't follow, aren't you afraid they will leave you behind?" Yang Kai said lightly, "Brother Shen, if you are afraid, just keep up with yourself, and what will I do?" Shen Fei smiled and said, "Brother Yang seems to be very hostile to me, I wonder where Shen has offended you." Yang Kai Dao, "I've always been like this, if Brother Shen is not used to it, don't chat with me, lest you can't stand it." Shen Fei twitched, and forced a smile. Shen admires such a proud person like Brother Yang, and Brother Yang seems to be capable. I wonder if you would like to cooperate with Shen. Cooperation? Cooperation for what? How to cooperate? Yang Kai looked at him with a half-smile. Shen Fei straightened his expression, and said, "You don't speak dark words in front of Ming people. Since Brother Yang was invited here by the master, he must also want to leave this secret place of solitude. If what the master said is true, then there is something here. A tool that can be left. Brother Yang, don't you want to hold that tool in your own hands?" €1. Yang Kai raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a deep smile, and said, "Brother Chen thinks a lot." Shen Fei Dao, the location of the exit is in Sander's hands. If even the tools are in his hands, then it's up to him to decide whether to take us out or not. Can Sander be trusted or not? 2 different things. Anyway, I can't believe it. But if we can get that tool, the initiative will be in our hands, and Sander will have to act according to our face. Yang Kai nodded solemnly. "Brother Shen is right, but I didn't think about it." Shen Fei smiled and said, "Brother Yang may not have thought about it, it's just that the heart of a gentleman is open and frank." He flattered Yang Kai a lot, and said, "Then according to Brother Chen's wishes, what should we do?" Shen Fei said, "Of course after Sander finds the thing, then." Then Brother Shen, you rushed over and hacked to attract their attention, and I took the opportunity to take that thing away. Yang Kai continued without waiting for him to finish speaking. Shen Fei's face turned dark, his mouth opened wide, and he couldn't utter a word for a long time. Yang Kai asked solemnly, Brother Chen thinks this proposal is inappropriate. Shen Fei twitched, and said, let Shen think about it carefully, those few people are not easy to deal with, and a single negligence may lead to undoing. Naturally, you have to think about it carefully, Brother Shen, let me know when you think about it, so I can know when to do it. Yang Kai said seriously. Okay, Shen Fei nodded stiffly. To be continued. R1292. Chapter 2390 Strange Slate. Phone reading. Seeing Shen Fei's silence, Yang Kai sneered inwardly and stopped talking. Pin Shuang www. Vodtw. Com. This person is looking for him to cooperate, not to mention whether there is any fraud. This sincerity alone needs to be considered, otherwise how could he be dismissed by Yang Kai in a few words? Such a person obviously only wants to use others, but in fact it is not reliable at all. Besides, even if the two really cooperate and get the tool, who should control it in the end? But Shen Fei was right about one thing, the location information of the exit was in Sander's hands. If he took away the tools, then it would be up to him to decide whether to take him out or not. What Shen Fei can think of, Yang Kai can naturally think of it. The snake lady and the maniac are not fools, they must have thought about it, so they follow Sander every step of the way, lest this guy do the thing of crossing the river and demolishing the bridge. However, Yang Kai felt that it would be useless to follow Sander now. Sander spent 5 years gathering 5 people to come here, and it was impossible to just crack a watery and multicolored formation. There must be a place to rely on their strength in the future, so even if Sander wants to leave them, it is not yet time. Yang Kai is not afraid of anything, with his current strength and the help he has in hand, Sander can't even think of making any waves. After finding the tool, if Sander is sensible, he can naturally cooperate with the other party and leave. If you don't know the secrets of this lonely void, you can only force it. I believe Sander can't plus resist it with his current methods. In the depths of the island, there were some strange movements from time to time, which seemed to be caused by Sander when he was cracking the formation. It can be seen from this that this guy is not only a formidable weapon refining room, but also has a high level of formation, quite a bit like his dead master. An hour later, the snake lady and the man came back in disgrace, in a mess. He looked extremely unhappy. Shen Fei heard the movement, opened his eyes and looked at them, and asked in surprise, "Where's master?" He thought that Sander had left himself and others aside. The snake lady didn't answer, and said awkwardly, still cracking the formation. "Then why do you?" Before Shen Fei finished asking, he knew the reason. It must be that snake lady and the man are not only useless by Sander's side. Instead, I suffered from some formations, so I returned. Thinking of this, he couldn't help gloating, secretly glad that he had the foresight to stay here, otherwise he would definitely be in the same embarrassment as the two of them. After the snake lady and the man came back, they also found a place to sit cross-legged and recuperate. Days passed, and several days passed. During the past few days, several people did not move. Only some strange movements came from the depths of the island from time to time, showing Sander's progress in breaking the formation. After a few days of rest, several people have almost recovered, all of them are full of energy, secretly gearing up for a big fight. At a certain moment, the man suddenly frowned, and said in surprise, "Everyone, has there been no movement for a long time?" In the past few days, when Sander was cracking the formation, he would make some noises every now and then. But now, it has been more than half a day, and it is actually peaceful, which makes people puzzled. Could the master be? Shen Fei's complexion changed slightly, thinking of an extremely bad possibility. Hearing what he said, everyone's expressions became serious. If Sander is really accidentally wiped out by the formation left here, then things will be oolong. At this moment, the snake lady suddenly took out a message bead, and said pleasantly, "The master told us to go there, and all the formations along the way have been broken." Everyone was shocked when they heard the words. Chi-Chi stood up and headed towards the depths of the island. Passing along the road, you can occasionally see some traces of power explosions, which are obviously the masterpieces of Sander when he cracked the formation. Judging from those traces and residual power fluctuations, Sander is indeed a top source of power. Strength should not be underestimated. After walking forward for a full hour, everyone saw Sander's figure. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged under a stone wall. It can be seen that breaking the formation in the past few days is also exhausting for him. The relatively large one made him look haggard and tired, but before everyone came here, he obviously took some panacea, and he was recovering quickly at the moment. Seeing that he was meditating, Yang Kai and the others didn't disturb him, they just looked around the place, and soon, everyone's eyes were attracted by a stone slab on the stone wall. The stone slab is flat and neat, and it looks like a portal, blocking the way for everyone to go to the place behind the stone wall. Sander meditating here is obviously also because he was blocked. Everyone was very curious about why this was the case, because the stone slab didn't seem to have any traces of formations at all. Although the material was a bit weird, it shouldn't be difficult for Sander, right? Everyone was an experienced warrior, and although they were puzzled, no one touched the slate rashly, and they all just waited quietly for Sander to wake up. I don't know what kind of panacea Sander was taking. After just an hour, the old guy's complexion turned rosy, and he seemed to have fully recovered. He slowly opened his eyes and stood up. Master. Seeing this, Shenfei quickly called out, "What shall we do now?" Sander looked at the stone slab with a sullen face, and said, "This is a dragon stone made of exotic gold, weighing 100,000 catties, we must push it with brute force before we can enter, and behind it is the old guy's cave, and that thing is hidden inside." Exotic gold. The other four seemed to only hear these four words, and their eyes lit up when they heard the words, staring fierily at the seemingly ordinary stone slab. Yang Kai was also extremely surprised, although he thought this stone slab was quite extraordinary before, he never thought that it was such a precious thing. Exotic sky gold is an emperor-level refining material, and it is the most suitable for promoting emperor treasures. It is a treasure that many emperor-level powerhouses want to find but can't find, but they don't think there is such a big piece on this overseas island. And it was also used as a stone slab to block the cave. This master of Sander is really generous. If this piece of exotic gold is sold, it will definitely sell for a sky-high price, which will make countless emperors earn blood. Seeing everyone's reaction like this, Sand frowned, and said in a low voice, "Brave, it's up to you here." Hearing the words, the barbarian realized clearly in his heart, nodded and said, "Master, don't worry, I dare not say anything else, I still have a little strength." Sander made it very clear that the stone slab made of exotic gold cannot be attacked, it can only be pushed by brute force, and among the 5 people present, the barbarian is definitely the most suitable candidate. Perhaps, Sander chose to be a savage because he took a fancy to his strength. At that moment, the barbarian stepped forward with a serious look on his face. As soon as his strength was urged, he didn't know what secret technique was being used. His already burly figure suddenly became huge again, and his tall muscles were full of the beauty of explosive strength. Look, there is a strange light in the beautiful eyes of the snake lady, and her heart is rippling. The barbarian let out a deep sigh, and slowly pushed his hands forward. The moment those 2 palm-like hands touched the stone slab, there was a muffled sound. It felt like 2 mountains colliding together, and it was extremely shocking. People's hearts seemed to shake the whole island. Everyone's eyes were filled with astonishment, and they were horrified by the astonishing power of the man. Even Yang Kai was stunned. He is confident that his strength is actually not bad, but compared with the barbarian, it seems that there is still a gap. If it is purely a competition of strength, he may not be his opponent. In this world, there are indeed talented people in different talents, and they are the leaders in various fields. Okay, good, you really didn't disappoint the old man. Sander was very pleasantly surprised, his calm expression finally showed a smile, after passing this level, the rest will be much easier. From what he said, this level seems to be the most difficult. But it's no wonder that there are very few people in this world who can do it by pushing something weighing 100,000 jin here. Yang Kai estimated that it is absolutely impossible to find a second person who agrees with the request on the entire Tongtian Island. It is very likely that Sander spent 5 years mainly looking for people like Manji. Master, have you been here before? Yang Kai's heart moved again, and he asked. If you haven't been here before, how would you know what's going on behind the scenes, and how could you understand this place so clearly? There is no pressure to crack the formation all the way. It happened a long time ago. Sander replied casually, without further explanation. Squeak. There was an ear-piercing friction sound. The stone slab made of exotic gold gradually moved away under the huge force of the barbarian, and a small gap gradually appeared on the stone wall. Seeing this situation, the barbarian shouted loudly and exerted a lot of force. The gap was getting bigger and bigger, and Sander stared at it with wide-eyed eyes, looking extremely nervous. Yudi, the man suddenly frowned, and said in surprise, "Master, something seems wrong." "What's wrong, what's wrong?" Sander frowned and asked hastily. The man said, "This stone slab seems to have a suction force. Master, are you sure there is no problem in pushing it away like this?" Sander snorted coldly. "What's the problem? Push it away." Although the barbarian faintly felt that something was wrong, but relying on the courage of the skilled person, he added more strength and directly expanded the gap, finally allowing one person to pass through. Seeing this, Sander shouted, "Come in." The next moment, his figure swayed, and he rushed through the gap, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Yongkai and others who had been prepared for a long time naturally rushed in one by one. As soon as everyone rushed inside, they heard the man suddenly yelled in horror, as if he had encountered something terrible, and then he shouted, "Master, save me." "What's the matter?" Snake Lady hurriedly turned her head and asked with a pale face. When she rushed in just now, the man was still fine, pushing the slate. Why did it suddenly happen in the blink of an eye? To be continued. R1292. Chapter 2391 Pihaisuo. Phone reading. The barbarian's screams made Yongkai and others change their colors, and they all released their spiritual thoughts and turned to investigate. After seeing his current situation clearly, everyone couldn't help but gasp again. At this moment, for some reason, the man was clinging to the stone slab of exotic gold, as if he was firmly sucked in. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get rid of it. The speed of devouring his essence of chi and blood was beyond imagination. Visible to the naked eye, the power of dark red chi and blood was swallowed up by the stone slab. There were nauseating breaths. "Master, save me!" The barbarian yelled with all his strength, panicked. If he had known that the stone slab was so weird, he would not have touched it rashly, but it was already at this point, it was too late to say anything. After only a few breaths of effort, he felt half weak. If it took a while longer, wouldn't he be sucked into jerky? Yongkai and the others all looked at Sander, wanting to know what he was going to do. Sander hurriedly said, "Be safe and don't be impatient, the old man will come here soon." While speaking, he really went straight to the barbarian. After a while, there was a burst of violent power fluctuations. It seemed that Sander was trying to rescue the barbarian, but no one could see the specific situation, because Yongkai and others released it after being disturbed by Sander. Spiritual thoughts have been greatly disturbed. After a while, the sly voice gradually disappeared. Sander returned slowly from there with a gloomy face, and when he came in front of everyone, he said with a sad face, "Brother man, he, unfortunately passed away." Snake Lady Shenfei's complexion changed slightly, looking at Sander with gloomy eyes. Yongkai's face was also watery. They probably all know how strong the barbarian is, but such a guy died in such a short period of time. It can be seen that they must have fallen into some terrible restriction and trap. If it were Snake Lady and Shenfei who fell into it, it would not be much better. It's really disgusting. There is a large spirit-devouring array hidden on the dragon stone in the town. I didn't notice it for a while and failed to find it, so that brother man suffered such an unreasonable disaster. It's really sad and hateful. Sander lamented for a while. His tone was low, as if he was doing it for the man, saddened by what happened. He paused for a moment, raised his eyes and said, "I hope what happened to brother man didn't cast any psychological shadow on you." Several people are indifferent. When the man encountered this incident, he didn't know whether it was true that Sander was negligent and failed to discover the spirit-devouring formation, or he knew that he didn't say anything on purpose and let the man go to die. Anyway, everyone has come this far. And it was only an outsider who died, so naturally it is impossible to retreat here. It's just that after this incident, no matter who it is, no one dares to take it lightly anymore. Any place in the old lair of the Emperor's array could be fatal. If you have no objections, you can continue to follow the old man. Sander swept around the crowd. Yongkai said lightly, "Master, you have prepared 5 people. Now there is one less. Is there any problem?" San said, "No big problem. The main reason for the old man to find the barbarian is to push the dragon stone away. Hasn't he already completed the task? The rest doesn't need any effort from him. So that's it." Yongkai grinned, "That's very good, Master, continue to lead the way." Sander nodded, and he really led the way. The remaining 3 looked at each other. They all walked to keep up. But after Yang Kai's question just now, the three of them can almost be sure that there is a large spirit-devouring array hidden on the dragon-suppressing stone, and Sander definitely knows about it, and he also knows what will happen after the barbarian pushes away the stone. Just don't say it on purpose. In other words, after pushing away the dragon stone, the use value of the barbarian is gone, and it doesn't matter whether it is life or death. This old guy usually looks harmless to humans and animals, but he is actually full of bad things, so both Snake Lady and Shen Fei have to be on guard against him. Passing all the way, there was no obstacle at all. This is indeed a cave left by a strong man. The interior space is spacious. There are glowing strange stones inlaid on both sides of the cave wall, emitting a faint light, making the entire cave not so dark. Half an hour later, everyone walked about 1,000 feet underground, and then they suddenly came to a huge stone cave. There are stalactites hanging upside down on the stone walls around the cave, and the water droplets dripping and splashing make a crisp sound. After coming here, everyone's eyes were suddenly attracted by a thing placed in the very center. That is impressively a boat that is more than 7 or 8 feet long, with smooth curves and a shuttle-shaped secret treasure, with Taoism and instrument rhyme flowing on it, making this secret treasure look extremely extraordinary. After arriving here, Sander's eyes suddenly brightened, and he stood still and stared at the shuttle-shaped secret treasure, reluctant to leave for a moment. And Yang Kai and others also looked at the eyes in amazement again and again. Sander brought them here to pick up a tool that can leave the secret realm of solitude. They all knew this, and seeing this thing now, they naturally had some associations. Master, could this be? Snake Lady was the first to hold back and asked. Although Shen Fei didn't speak, the earnest eyes betrayed him deeply. That's right. Sander nodded heavily. This is the Pihaisuo made by the old ghost. Although it's not the Emperor's treasure, it's only inferior to the Emperor's rhyme. With it, the old man can leave this secret realm of lonely void. He looked excited, extremely excited. Shen Fei and Snake Lady were also ecstatic. They didn't expect this trip to be so easy. After all, following Sander this time, except for the 5 people who need to work together to break the watery and colorful formation before entering the island, the others seem to have encountered no difficulties, except that the barbarians encountered misfortune, and they only just following Sander here, seeing this special tool is simply within reach. Master, don't forget our contribution when you leave. Shen Fei hastily reminded. Sander smiled and said, of course I won't forget it. He paused for a moment, and then said, as the formation flag that I gave you before, still in your hand. Although the few people didn't know why he asked this question, they still took out the formation flags they had obtained before. These formation flags were originally used to break the water and light 10-color formation. Sander didn't take it back after breaking it, so everyone I put it away by myself. Very good. Sander smiled slightly. There is still a formation near Pihaisuo that needs to be broken, and the old man needs your help. Lady Snake hurriedly said, just do as Master tells you. Things have come to this level, she is naturally very cooperative, and has long forgotten the brutal death. Come with me. Sander waved his hand, and flew towards Pihaisuo first, and several people hurriedly followed. Each of them was secretly excited and in a hot mood. Before flying close to the Pihaisuo, Sander was in midair, and suddenly stretched out his hands to make a seal, whispered a word, and then rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. The moment he heard that word, Yang Kai and the 3 of them changed their expressions slightly, feeling that something was wrong, and when they saw him flying away quickly, how could they not know that this old thing was a fraud? The 3 of them were shocked, and when they were about to chase after them, a loud bang suddenly came from Shen Fei's hand. The formation flag he held in his hand suddenly exploded, violent fluctuations of power were set off, and splashed in 10 directions. Shen Fei was directly blown to pieces, and the source power of his body protection collapsed in an instant. Before he could recover, there was another explosion sound. This time it was the flag in Snake Lady's hand that exploded. Immediately afterwards, in Yang Kai's hand, the 3 formation flags exploded in a row, and the power was extremely terrifying. But Shen Fei and the others were not weak. Although they didn't find out the truth for a while, they still resorted to defensive secret treasures to urge the source of power to protect themselves, and it was dangerous to avoid the bad luck of dying on the spot. Suddenly encountering such a sneak attack, and it was Sander who did it, Shen Fei and Snake Lady were naturally very furious, and after resisting the impact of the explosion, they immediately wanted to settle accounts with Sander. But what made their complexions change drastically was that at this moment they were sore and limp, unable to lift up any strength, and directly fell heavily from midair, fell to the ground, and fell dizzy. Yang Kai didn't look much better, and fell beside the two of them, motionless. Toxic. Shen Fei's face was extremely ugly. He didn't know that the banner was not only restricted by explosion by Sander, but also there were serious problems with the refining materials. I'm afraid he had planned this matter as early as when he handed over the formation flag to himself and others to crack the water and light 10-color formation. Sander's figure came slowly from a corner. His pace was not too fast, and he looked at the three people lying on the ground coldly, without any pity. Master, why did you do this? The snake lady couldn't figure it out, and she also showed her intentions for him, and the internal space of Pai Haisuo was huge, at least it could hold a dozen or two. 10 people, Sander hasn't got anything yet, why did he suddenly turn his back on him? There is no conflict of interest, what is Sander doing this for? Shen Fei also looked at Sander with a broken heart. He knew that Sander was not trustworthy, but he didn't expect the old guy to turn his face so quickly. He originally thought that even if Sander wanted to turn his face, it would be after the Pihaisuo was taken. Don't blame me, I can't do it. Sander said lightly, without any intention of explaining, but quickly pinched the seal with both hands. Accompanied by the change of his seal, a strange sound came out, and the three of them turned their heads to look, and suddenly their scalps felt a little numb. I saw something in the shape of a hole protruding from nowhere on the ground, and at this moment, it was bubbling with bright red blood. The blood spread along some formation lines on the ground and gradually gathered a mysterious pattern. The smell of this fresh blood is very fresh, and the aura it contains is also familiar. Brutal blood. Shen Fei seemed to have thought of something, and his face turned pale for a while. To be continued. R1292. Chapter 2392 Will Die Ugly. Phone reading. The blood contains extremely rich and fresh blood essence. Obviously it is the blood of a warrior who has just been drawn out and pays attention to physical cultivation. /// Apart from being the blood of a barbarian, there is no second explanation. Half an hour ago, the man died, and half an hour later, his blood came to this place, and a large formation was gathered to envelop everyone. This is obviously a long-standing plan, but I don't know what special effect this big formation has. After a cup of tea, the blood stopped pouring out, and it seemed to be clean, and the big formation on the ground was completely activated by the blood, and a strange aura lingered around, making people feel a little cold. Faintly, there was still a sound of howling ghosts and wolves. Shen Fei and the others were lying on the ground, quietly urging the source force to dissolve the poison they had, but they didn't know what the poison was. The more it was dissolved, the weaker it became. Suddenly, Lady Snake's face turned pale, and she exclaimed, "Brave!" Hearing her shout, Shen Fei quickly raised his head to look up. His eyes widened for a moment, because a phantom appeared in the center of the formation. This phantom looks exactly the same as the man, but it has no spirituality, it looks muddled, as if it has no mind. Brutal spirit and spirit body. The stone slab not only absorbed the essence of chi and blood in the barbarian's body, but even his spirit and body were not spared. And looking at the current state of the barbarian soul, it seems that it has been greatly damaged, otherwise it would not be so sluggish. Even without the body, the soul of the Daoyuan third-level powerhouse is enough to maintain its own sanity. Sangda, what are you going to do? Shen Fei gritted his teeth and shouted sharply, as if he couldn't stand the unknown horror and depression, and his psychological defense showed some signs of collapse. Sander snorted coldly, ignored his questioning, instead stomped the ground fiercely, and said in a deep voice, "Old ghost, it's time to wake up." Anyone else? Shen Fei's face turned pale, and he quickly turned his head to look around, and the snake lady also looked around in surprise. I want to know who the old ghost at Sander's mouth is. The next moment, the eyes of the two people looked at the past in one direction. Over there, an ethereal figure slowly appeared. Look at the figure. It seems to be a spirit body as well, but unlike the barbarian, this spirit body seems to be extremely weak and may dissipate at any time. After this figure was revealed, an aura like a ghost suddenly permeated his body. Sander grinned, "Old ghost. I brought you some delicious food. Thank you soon, my disciple, I treat you well, right?" "What?" Shen Fei opened his mouth wide when he heard this, and stared at the phantom with a dumbfounded face. Lady Snake's face paled too. "Is this person your master?" Sander snorted, "You don't have to worry about this, just lie there obediently." While speaking, he frowned and glanced at Yang Kai. He didn't know why, but he always felt that Yang Kai was a little too calm, even though he was lying there like Shen Fei and Snake Lady, but he didn't even say a word. Could it be that he accepted his fate? But that's all. He couldn't care too much, he just wanted to get it over with. What do you mean by food? Shen Fei asked again in surprise. As soon as the words fell, he knew what it meant. The ghostly figure of Master Sander screamed, made an extremely ear-piercing and unpleasant sound, and then rushed towards the barbarian spirit body like a hungry wolf, opened his eyes wide open. With a bloody mouth, he bit off half of the man's body in one bite. This ghost-like existence can actually devour the soul and spirit body. This kind of thing is simply unheard of, unseen. Shen Fei and Snake Lady stared blankly at this horrific scene, feeling a chill from head to toe. And under their attention, the phantom took less than 10 breaths of effort to eat up the man's soul and body. Instead of being satisfied, it seemed to arouse the fierceness even more. The originally illusory body became much more solid. When he turned his head, he stared fiercely at Shen Fei. With a howl, he turned into a gust of dark wind and rushed towards Shen Fei. No, get out! Shen Fei was shocked and protested loudly. But now he can't raise any strength, how can he resist? The phantom disappeared in a flash, rushed into his body and disappeared, and then, Shen Fei swayed all over his body, his eyeballs trembled constantly, and his face was grim, as if he was enduring extremely tragic torture. The Snake Lady was so scared that her face turned pale. Seeing that she was the next one to encounter this, she hurriedly begged Sander, "Master, you should go around her. She will serve you as a slave and a servant girl in the future, and she will never you are disappointed." While she was speaking, she squeezed out an extremely reluctant smile, as if she was trying her best to use her beauty to win the chance of survival. Sander turned a deaf ear to it, and snorted coldly, a pool of rotten meat that even wild dogs would disdain, dare to show off in front of this old man. Lady Snake's beautiful eyes darkened, knowing that this time she was really doomed. At this moment, Shen Fei died suddenly, and the phantom rushed out of his body, eating the souls and spirit bodies of the two people one after another. Looked a little wiser. He didn't stop, and rushed into the Snake Lady's body again, doing the same thing. The Snake Lady screamed fiercely, knowing that she would die. She kept cursing Sander for a bad death, and she continued to curse. Sander snorted coldly, ignored her, turned to look at Yang Kai, and said, "You don't seem to be worried at all." Yang Kai grinned, "Man is the chopping board, I am the fish, what's the use of worrying?" Sander said with a half-smile, "Your mood is open-minded, and this old man appreciates it. Since Master appreciates it, how about letting me go? Let's be good friends after we go out." Yang Kai asked with a smile. Sander's face sank, and he said, "It's absolutely impossible. You are the key to the deal between this old man and this old ghost, and no one can let you go." Transaction. Yang Kai grasped the information keenly, and asked in surprise, "What transaction?" "This matter has nothing to do with you." Yang Kai curled his lips and said, "Master, this is a joke, since I am the key to the transaction, how can it have nothing to do with me? Anyway, I am going to die, let's hear it, and I won't lose a piece of meat." Sander sneered, "You will be obedient and don't resist later, so you can suffer less pain." After he finished speaking, he ignored him. Yang Kai snorted lightly. Instead of entangled in this topic, he looked at Pai Haisuo and said, "Master, you said that it was a tool to leave this secret realm, shouldn't it be just a cover?" Sander did not change the subject this time, and said in a deep voice, "This Pai Haisuo has spent a lifetime refining it to prepare for leaving here. How could it be a cover? With it, it is enough to leave this secret realm. It's really good." Yang Kai sighed, but he didn't know what he was feeling. At this time, the Snake Lady was also dead. After the ghost devoured the Snake Lady's soul and body, she had completely recovered. When her eyes turned, they seemed extremely flexible, and they were no longer rigid and sluggish as before. "It's recovered pretty well." Sander looked at the ghost and sneered. Yin Hun said, "It's a good thing that the old man has accepted a good apprentice. It's right to do this for the master." Sander snorted. The two master and apprentice exchanged a few words with a smile on their faces, and there was no trace of master-student friendship at all. Their eyes were filled with a look of wishing to put each other to death, and they didn't know how they got to this point. Yin Sol turned to look at Yang Kai, and said, "Is this the body you found for this old man?" San said, "It took a lot of effort to find him." Yin Hun frowned and said, "Is his soul power okay? Don't let the old man lose his home. I've tested it myself. Even if I'm worse, it's not much worse. It's definitely no problem to carry you." Yin Hun nodded, "This is the best." Yang Kai looked at Yin Sol with great interest, and suddenly realized, "Are you trying to take me away?" Yin Hun said, ask without knowing it. Hey, you are a bit interesting, you are not afraid. Yang Kai chuckled and said, the person you should be afraid of is not me, I advise you, don't take me away, or you will die ugly. Yin Hun was obviously taken aback, then turned to look at Sander and said, what do you mean by finding a lunatic for me? Sand said angrily, this kid is just talking big, and you can't see it. I think you are really old and confused. You have long nights and dreams, so hurry up. Yin Hun pondered for a moment, feeling that what he said was reasonable, and immediately turned into a gust of yin wind and rushed towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai was still smiling, lazily said, it's really ugly to die. Yin Hun ignored it and rushed into Yang Kai's sea of a consciousness. In the sea of a consciousness, the ghost was revealed, just as it was about to find Yang Kai's spirit body and devour it as before, but there was a flower in front of him. Look away. This. Yin Hun was taken aback, he was not frightened by Yang Kai's audacity, but was shocked by what he saw. He had never seen a person's sea of a consciousness so majestic and magnificent. The sea water gathered below was deep and deep, rich and pure, like a real vast ocean, giving people an extremely strong visual conflict. This sea of a consciousness is not something that a Daoyuan warrior can possess at all. Compared with the sea of a consciousness of the two people he swallowed before, it is simply the difference between a stream and the sea. Traitor! Yin Hungsen scolded Sander bloody in an instant, saying that he had tested it himself, even if this person's soul power is not as good as his, it is not far behind. How can this be explained by the short difference? His soul power clearly knew that the traitor was countless times smarter, that's why Sander made a mistake in his judgment. This is simply a sea of a consciousness in the Emperor Senior realm. No matter how powerful Yin Soul is, it is impossible to defeat Yang Kai here. As soon as he thought of this, he hurried to quit. He knew that if he retreated late, he might not be able to leave. To be continued. Chapter 2393 The Vigor of Young People. It's all here, what are you doing in such a hurry? Yang Kai said with a light smile, but there was no smile in his eyes, but a cold one. How many years he has not encountered anyone who dared to take away from him, the last soul who dared to do this to him has long been blasted to pieces. A ray of light slashed across the sky from somewhere in the sea of a consciousness, swirling up a murderous intent, and slashed straight at the ghost. Shenhun Emperor Treasure. Sensing the terrifying power of the Zanhundao, Yin Hun yelled in horror, without any hesitation, opened his mouth, spit out a dark ray of light, and greeted Zanhundao. I don't know what the dark light was, but after hitting the Zanhundao, its speed suddenly slowed down a lot. The knife glow cut down, Yin Hun let out a scream, although he was seriously injured, he managed to save his life, took the opportunity to fight hard, tore apart Yang Kai's sea of a consciousness defense, and rushed out. Yang Kai frowned, he didn't expect this Yin Hun to have such abilities, but after being hit by the soul-slaying saber, he must be uncomfortable, even if he didn't die, he might not live for long. In the cave, Yang Kai opened his eyes again, and immediately heard the sound of ghosts crying and howling wolves, obviously in great pain. Looking around, I can see Yin Hun curled up in a corner at this moment, and the originally solid body is extremely dim at the moment, appearing and disappearing from time to time, as if it may collapse at any time. Sander stared dumbfounded, shocked. After a long time, he shouted in a low voice, "Old ghost, what's going on?" Yin Hun was seriously injured, and he didn't hear what he said at all, how could he have the time to answer? Hey, I kindly remind you that if you don't listen, you have to suffer a little bit to know how powerful you are. Yang Kai sneered, patted his buttocks and stood up, with a calm expression on his face. Sander stepped back a few steps incessantly, looked at Yang Kai like a ghost, and said in shock, how could you? Yang Kai was obviously injured and poisoned, why did he come alive in the blink of an eye? The successive changes in front of him gradually made Sander feel uneasy. Yang Kai snorted coldly. Master is so calculating, you have worked so hard to bring us here just to give your master the opportunity to swallow up your home. It is really a filial piety that is deeper than the sea, and it makes people cry. Sander's face was cloudy and uncertain, and he said, you have been prepared for a long time. Yang Kai said in a deep voice, it's not just me, Shen Fei was prepared as early as Lady Snake, but what's the matter, it's still in your hands, Grand Master. Why are you okay? Your rubbish can spy on the young master's ability. Yang Kai curled his lips in disdain, with your means, you want to plot against me. Sander heard this, his face turned green and red, and he didn't know whether he was angry or ashamed, but it was useless to say anything now. Yongkai looked really good, not only that, even entering his sea of a euro consciousness was going to take him away. The old ghost seems to have been hit hard. Save! Save! Over there, Yin Hun roared intermittently, and the light on his body was disillusioned, as if it was about to dissipate soon. The soul-slashing knife is an emperor treasure, and it is also a divine soul emperor treasure. Yin Hun is just a spirit body, it is luck that it was not wiped out on the spot after taking such a blow. Sander's face changed greatly when he heard this, and he hurriedly looked towards the ghost. But now he was obviously helpless in this situation, with an extremely distressed expression on his face. Let go of your sea of a euro consciousness defense. Yin Hun continued to roar. Judging from the meaning in his words, it seemed that he wanted Sander to take the initiative to let go of his sea of a euro consciousness defense, so that he could enter the other party's sea of a euro consciousness to hide for a while. But how could Sander be willing to do such a thing? Hearing the words, it was as if he didn't hear it, just stood there with a sullen face, not moving. Rebel! Yin Hun roared unwillingly, and immediately the nothingness body suddenly burst into a ball of dazzling light, shattered into pieces, and disappeared into dots of fluorescent light. Your master-student friendship, tisk tisk. Yongkai watched the show, tisk tisk. You killed him. Sander turned his face and looked at Yongkai gloomily. So what? Yongkai smiled coldly, you and I are the only ones left here. Sander, let's open the skylight and speak honestly. If you want to live, that's fine, give me the location of the exit, I won't die around you, if not. Yongkai grinned, and continued. I will make your life worse than death. You asked me for the exit location. Sander had an extremely weird expression on his face. Yongkai frowned, and suddenly had some unpleasant feelings. Sander laughed nervously. You killed the old ghost, and you asked me for an exit location. Yongkai Dao. I don't think the relationship between the two of you is so good that you want to avenge each other. On the contrary, it seems that there is a lot of hatred. What's the problem if I kill him? Sander, don't be stubborn, obediently be with me. Cooperation is king. The old ghost knows the location of the exit. If you kill him, where do you want me to get it? Sander suddenly roared hysterically, with veins popping out on his forehead. Yongkai was stunned for a long while before he asked anxiously, what do you mean? Sangda sneered. Bai Haisuo is here, and I can take it away at any time with my ability, but why did I work so hard to bring you here, plot against you, and let the old ghost seize the house and be reborn? The body of the old ghost is me. The one that was destroyed back then, but I worked so hard to come to rescue him again, why do you think? Yongkai suddenly remembered the deal he mentioned before, and his face changed. Could it be that? Sand snorted. The old man helped him seize the house, and he handed over the location of the exit to the old man. This is a deal. Yongkai's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. After a long silence, he cursed loudly. You old dog is full of nonsense, why didn't you say something so important earlier? If he had known about this earlier, Yongkai would never have used the soul-slaying knife to deal with the yin soul. Now that it is all right, the yin soul was chopped off by the soul-severing knife, and the exit position also disappeared. Pai Haisuo is useless, the land of martial arts. This matter is a big oolong through and through. Who are you, old man? Why did this old man tell you this? Sander sneered, looking at Yongkai sarcastically. Yongkai Dao, you said earlier that there are 3 people who know the location of the exit, isn't it also nonsense? Isn't it very important? Who are the masters of Bingxin Pavilion and Tongtian Island? Do you have the guts to seek cooperation with them? Be careful to swallow you until there are no bones left. Sander sneered again and again, and after finishing speaking, he brushed his clothes sleeve, said, this is the end of the matter, you and I will part ways. From now on, you will walk on your single plank bridge, and I will walk on my Yangguan road. They have nothing to do with each other. After all, as soon as he took a step, he was about to walk aside. Yongkai snorted coldly, a coercion directly pressed towards Sander. Sander paused, turned to look at Yongkai and said, what? You still want to drive this old man to death? You do the 1st grade, I do the 15th, it's fair. Young people nowadays are so loud, do you think you can kill this old man? Sander was already full of anger, but seeing Yongkai's chattering and unwillingness to let him go, he suddenly burst out. I think he is also a strong man at the peak of the Daoyuan 3rd layer realm, and there is no need to be afraid of anyone at the Daoyuan realm level. If he was in a hurry, he wouldn't mind fighting with Yang Kai to teach him how to behave. Nowadays, the old guys are a little confused about the situation. They always feel that age is an advantage. It's ridiculous to rely on the old to sell the old, Yang Kai retorted. Boy, haven't you heard that the older the ginger, the hotter it is, and you insist on being an enemy of this old man? Sander's face was so heavy that it almost dripped. Yang Kai sneered, and released Lu Yan and watching Si with a wave of his hand. Lu Yan was still riding the white tiger, with a small body sitting on it, looking majestic. Come, let this old man see the vitality of our young people. Yang Kai pointed at Sangda. Watching Si took a look at Yang Kai, thinking that Sister Hua, I am also a big person, when can I have something to do with young people? What the hell? Sander over there was shocked, he didn't see how Lu Yan and Watching Si appeared at all, it seemed that Yang Kai just waved his hand and these two people appeared strangely. Could it be that these two people have been hiding and following behind? But why didn't I notice it at all? When the divine sense was released, Sander's heart suddenly became cold. He found that no matter whether it was the little girl who looked only 7 or 8 years old or the beautiful woman, they all had cultivation bases at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. The white tiger the girl was riding was even more treacherous, and it felt extremely dangerous to him. Master, kill or stay? Lu Yan suddenly asked lightly. Kill it, Yang Kai snorted. Sander didn't even know the location of the exit, what else was there to do? Wait, Sander was startled and shouted hastily. But as soon as the words fell, Lu Yan and Watching Si had already surrounded him from left to right. Seeing this, Sander's expression changed drastically. How could he dare to stay where he was, and rushed out as soon as he turned around. The white tiger opened its mouth, and a beam of pure white energy burst out, which seemed to contain the power of destroying heaven and earth, and it rubbed against Sander's body and hit the empty space. Sander lost his mind in an instant. Although the blow just now didn't hurt him, he felt the trace of the Emperor's attack. That white tiger turned out to be in the Emperor's senior realm. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to stay any longer, and only thought that the sooner he could escape from this place, the better. The three chased and fled, but disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yang Kai snorted coldly and turned his gaze to Pai Haisuo. Although he accidentally killed the ghost without understanding the situation, Pai Haisuo was indeed the key to leaving, and now that he was right in front of him, Yang Kai naturally couldn't let it go. He flew up, sat cross-legged on the Pai Haisuo, and began to refine it. A few days ago, Yang Kai refined a building ship, but it only took 1 day, but it took 7 days to refine Pai Haisuo. The more he refined, the more he could notice the complexity of refining this secret treasure. Sander said that the old ghost master spent his whole life refining this thing. It seems that he is not cheating. This kind of secret treasure that consumes energy and time, it is not bad for a refiner to refine one in a lifetime. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update group at YC. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2394. After Yang Kai took Pai Haisuo into the space ring, he stood up. Lu Yan and Watching Si had been waiting for a long time, and Yang Kai didn't ask what happened to Sander. The two of them chased Sander with a sky puppet. If they could tell him to run away, it would be a big joke. In fact, Lu Yan and Watching Si only took half a cup of tea to kill Sander. In the rest of the time, the two girls took the time to check the island and brought all the valuable things on the island. Gone. After taking Lu Yan and Watching Si back to the mysterious boundary bead, Yang Kai left the ground, sacrificed his own wooden boat, and flew all the way to Tongtian Island. Others dare not do this in this secret realm of solitude, because flying consumes too much source power, and it will be very troublesome to replenish it at that time, so no matter which warrior goes to sea, he will use the building boat, which is not slow and saves energy. Source of power. Yang Kai is not worried about this. He has countless source crystals, and the mysterious boundary orb. Even if the source power is exhausted, he only needs to hide in the mysterious boundary orb and practice for a while to recover. Now that Pai Haisuo is in his hands, we can only find out about the location of the exit with one of the two masters, Bingxin Pavilion Master and Tongtian Island Master. Yang Kai, the owner of Tongtian Island, didn't really want to get in touch with him, but the owner of Bingxin Pavilion, he might not have the chance to meet him. At this time, Yang Kai was a little lucky. Fortunately, he had visited Bingxin Pavilion before coming to this small island and applied for their job. Alchemist. Now he can be regarded as close to the water, But after all, the master of Bingxin Pavilion is a powerful third-level emperor senior, and he can't see it just by saying it. Even if he does, he has to be very careful when he cooperates with such a strong person. All the way was safe, and within 3 days, Yang Kai had already returned to the pier of Tongtian Island. Seeing that he flew all the way back, many martial artists on the pier couldn't help but look sideways, secretly surprised, wondering what happened to Yang Kai at sea. Even the boat and his companions disappeared. Yang Kai ignored those weird eyes and walked all the way into Tongtian City. When he came to the rented cave, Yang Kai took out the token to open the restriction, and as soon as you stepped inside, he suddenly stopped, instinctively feeling that something was wrong, raised his hand and printed it into the void. The source power in his body was violent surge. Boom! With a loud bang, the cave mansion shook violently a few times, and all kinds of forbidden lights flickered wildly. Yang Kai was also attacked by a huge force, flew out like a rag sack, sprayed a mouthful of blood in midair, and landed heavily. Emperor Prestige Realm. Yang Kai's eyes were shocked. He never thought that in his cave, there was an Emperor Senior stage ambushing him. Although the opponent was only at the Emperor Senior level, and he didn't use his full strength in this attack, Yang Kai still suffered a lot from his hasty response. He hurriedly got up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked aside angrily. Over there, a person showed a look of surprise, as if he didn't expect that his sneak attack failed to capture Yang Kai on the spot, but let him escape by taking the opportunity. I don't know why, but this person's complexion turned pale, and it seemed that he had suffered serious injuries. Pang Guang. After seeing this person's face, Yang Kai immediately gritted his teeth and hissed. It wasn't someone else who was ambushing and attacking him in his cave, but Pang Guang, the lord of Gaocheng, who came in with him. A few days ago, when Yang Kai hadn't left Tongtian City, he accidentally bumped into Pang Guang once on the street, but the two of them just passed by at that time, and no one said hello to anyone, but he didn't want to meet again in this situation. Meet. Looking away, Yang Kai's face darkened, and a strong murderous intent rolled and fermented in his heart. Because at this moment, Pang Guang covered Lu Shanyan's head with one hand, and the power in his palm was invisible, as if he could take Lu Shanyan's life away at any time. Yang Kai didn't know why Pang Guang was here, and how he held Lu Shanyan hostage, but the current situation made him very cautious. Lu Shanyan's life was seized, her delicate body was trembling, her pretty face was bloodless. Seeing Yang Kai being injured, she couldn't help but exclaimed, "Senior brother." Her beautiful eyes were full of concern and uneasiness. There is a deep sense of guilt and self-blame. When Yang Kai left Tongtian City a few days ago, he asked her if she wanted to go with her, but Lu Shanyan chose to stay. Now it seems that this decision was wrong. If he was with Yang Kai, he would not be taken as a hostage to threaten Yang Kai. She just went out the day before yesterday, and didn't go far. She just went to the cave where Ling Yinshan and others were located to find the way. She thought that everyone would be neighbors in the future, so she could walk around more. It's just that on the way back, he was followed by Pang Guang, and he was subdued as soon as he entered the cave. "I'm fine." Yang Kai spat out blood, looked at Lu Shanyan and said, "He didn't do anything to you, did he?" Lu Shanyan shook her head slowly. "No, he was just waiting for you to come back." Yang Kai couldn't help but let go of his heart, looked at Pang Guang with a gloomy gaze, and said in a deep voice, "Master Pang, isn't it a little unreasonable for you to do this?" Pang Guang snorted coldly, and his expression was a little uncomfortable. Thinking that he, a strong emperor, sneaked into the cave with others and kidnapped a woman whose cultivation base was much weaker than his own, it was really not very good to tell it. "Nice to hear. Boy, I won't beat around the bush with you," Pang Guang said in a deep voice. His spirit seemed to be lacking. "I'm here for only one proposed euro, give me your butterfly lotus, and I'll let you go immediately." Quote. Yang Kai had the sky butter lotus. Pang Guang knew about it when he was in Gaocheng. He also knew the preciousness of the sky butter lotus, otherwise he wouldn't have followed Yang Kai and Yao Changjun secretly. He originally wanted to find an opportunity to fish in troubled waters, but he didn't want to encounter the great whirlpool of the solitude and come to this secret realm of solitude. Want to mend the sky lotus? Yang Kai raised his brows, looked up and down. Pang Guang immediately realized some problems, grinned and said, "Pang City Lord, is the dantian damaged, or the soul is injured?" The effect of Butianlian is to repair the damaged dantian and soul. Yao Changjun snatched it that day because the soul was injured. It is obviously the reason why Pang Guang wants to make Tianlian today. No wonder this guy looks a little out of breath, as if he was injured. It should be some strong man who fought a game and got injured accidentally. In this Tongtian city, although he is at the first level of Emperor Senior, it is not easy to recover from such a serious injury. There are no powerful alchemists or good panacea here. Fortunately, he knew that Yang Kai had the Sky Butter Lotus, so he turned his mind on Yang Kai. He thought that even if he was wounded, it would be easy to sneak attack and take down Yang Kai, but he didn't want to backfire. Yang Kai's improvisational ability and counterattack prevented him from succeeding in the first time, so he could only rely on the hostages in his hand up. This matter has nothing to do with you. Hand over Budianlian, Pang will never make things difficult for you. Pang Guang shouted impatiently. Yang Kai smiled and said, City Lord Pang, it seems that you are not having a good life. Also, an Emperor Senior stage suddenly appeared on Tongtian Island. I am afraid that everyone will know that you are a newcomer, and you have a lot of good things. You were robbed, right? Pang Guang is different from him. He and Lu Shanyan entered Tongtian Island quietly. As long as they have a suitable identity tag, others will not know that they are newcomers, but Pang Guang can't hide it. There are only a few emperors on the island. Suddenly there is one more. What is it, not a newcomer? Stop talking nonsense, I want Budianlian. Pang Guang gritted his teeth and shouted. The strength in his hand was faintly unstable, and the expression seemed extremely urgent. Lu Shanyan suddenly let out a low cry. The pain on his face was unbearable. You dare to hurt a single hair of my junior sister, I tell you to come in vertically today and go out horizontally. Yang Kai shouted angrily. That depends on whether you cooperate or not. Pang Guang's forehead gradually oozes a lot of sweat, and he can tell at a glance that his injury is not serious. Budianlian, isn't it? Yang Kai said with a sullen face, flipping his hands, look at what this is. Pang Guang immediately looked up at his palm, his gaze suddenly became hot. That was the Sky Butterfly Lotus, as white as snow, spotless. Yang Kai took out Yi. A faint fragrance wafted out of the cave, and the fragrance entered his nostrils. Pang Guang was refreshed, and even his injuries seemed to have eased a lot. Give it to me, Pang Guang shouted eagerly. As long as he has this lotus, his injuries can recover quickly, and he doesn't have to worry about leaving any hidden dangers that will affect the foundation of martial arts in the future. Yang Kai sneered, and under Pang Guang's stunned gaze, he directly stuffed the Budianlian into his mouth, chewing like a cow chewing on a peony, with a look of ecstasy on his face, as if he was eating something peerless delicious. Blah blah. Pang Guang was dumbfounded all of a sudden, and his whole body froze in place as if he had been immobilized. Yang Kai laughed frantically while eating. If you want it, grab it and see if I will spit you out. You. Pang Guang was so angry that he almost didn't recover, his face turned pale with anger. He clearly has a hostage in hand, yet Yang Kai dares to act so recklessly. Is this kid crazy? Do you really not care about the life and death of your junior sister at all? Just as he was thinking wildly and his mind was shaking, Yang Kai's left eye suddenly turned into a golden vertical bezel, and the golden pupil shrank and contracted, and a strange force diffused leisurely. Pang Guang was stunned, and his spirit suddenly became unstable, as if he had been affected. At this moment, Yang Kai had already sacrificed 1,000,000 swords, his body was wrapped in the sword light, and he slashed towards Pang Guang like a rainbow. The intent of the sword was strong, and before the sword arrived, a breath of death had rushed towards him. Pang Guang took a step back almost subconsciously. But at the next moment, he suddenly realized Yang Kai's intentions, and when he gritted his teeth, the source force in his big hand surged out, and he grabbed it hard, wanting to kill Lu Shanyan before that, calling Yang Kai knows the result of offending himself. But what he didn't expect was that his grasp was empty. Lu Shanyan, who was under his control, suddenly disappeared strangely, without even the slightest trace of movement. Only a strange wave of power came out, and Lu Shanyan moved several feet horizontally for no reason. Avoid this fatal blow. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update group at YC. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2395 Summoned by the Pavilion Master. Phone reading. The Power of Space. Pang Guang shrank his eyes and looked at Yang Kai in horror. The strange force just now is definitely the fluctuation of space power, and it is extremely advanced space power. This kid actually understands the power of space. Can even teleport others away. How can a source of origin warrior achieve such attainments? Before Pang Guang could think about it thoroughly, Yang Kai's 1,000,000 sword lights had already slammed towards him. This sword poured into Yang Kai's lifelong cultivation, and even an emperor senior realm like Pang Guang saw it. Inevitably, his expression changed drastically, and as soon as he raised his hand, a defensive treasure like a jade butterfly was sacrificed. Boom, a euro. A huge sound came out, and the already crumbling cave restriction finally collapsed completely under this blow. Without the protection of the restriction formation, the berserk power dissipated in all directions, and Yang Kai's cave was directly razed to the ground. Swipe. Two figures flew out of the cave one after another, looking across the air. Pang Guang was about to burst into tears, and growled, "You dare to play me, kid." Yang Kai would rather give up the butterfly lotus like a cow chewing peonies, and he is not willing to give it to himself, which made him extremely distressed. Yang Kai sneered and said disapprovingly, "So what if you play tricks on you? Come and hit me if you have the guts. This seat will tear you apart." Pang Guang roared angrily. Yang Kai shook his hair, stood motionless in midair, and didn't care about the threat to him at all, and said coolly, "Pang City Lord should consider his own situation." As soon as this remark came out, Pang Guang's face changed drastically, and after turning his head to look around, his mood suddenly became bad. He hid in Yang Kai's cave before, and no one could find him, but now after a conflict with Yang Kai, there is such a big commotion here. It has already alarmed the warriors in Tongtian City. Those martial artists in the surrounding caves came out to investigate the situation one after another, and countless warriors gathered from far away from all directions. Among them, there were two people's aura that made Pang Guang especially afraid. It was these two people who jointly injured him before, so he had to hide in Yang Kai's cave and wait for an opportunity to recover. At this moment, I noticed that these two people had also come over. How could Pang Guang still have the mind to stay where he was? He glared at Yang Kai viciously, turned around and fled out of the city. Not a while after Pang Guang left, Yang Kai's cave was surrounded by 3 layers of martial artists, all pointing at this place, not knowing what happened here to cause such a big mess. With 2 soft sounds, 2 people suddenly descended from the sky, and each of them looked majestic. People dare not look directly at them. The strong fluctuations in their power show that these 2 people are both at the first level of Emperor Senior. Yang Kai was also secretly vigilant, his eyes swept over these 2 people. From the whispers of the people nearby, Yang Kai learned that one of these 2 people is the owner of the Xuanyan Pavilion and the other is the leader of the Zizaihui. The 2 organizations are very powerful on the island. As a backer, these 2 people obviously detected Pang Guang's breath, so they rushed here in a hurry. Yang Kai observed the words and expressions. It was found that these 2 people had signs of hidden injuries, and they didn't get any good results when they dealt with Pang Guang. "Where's the person?" The pavilion master of Xuanyan Pavilion swept his gaze. Immediately fixed on Yang Kai, asked in a deep voice. Yang Kai quickly pointed to the direction where Pang Guang was escaping, and shouted, "Run over there, the 2 adults should decide for me, the thief is hiding in my cave, taking advantage of my unpreparedness." Yang Kai hasn't finished speaking yet. The 2 first-level emperors ran away at full speed. They have no interest in making decisions for Yang Kai, what they are interested in is only the various cultivation resources that Pang Guang carries with him, if it is not for this reason. Even if the 2 of them join forces, they are unwilling to have such a big conflict with a person who has reached the Emperor Senior level. After the 2 disappeared, Yang Kai turned around, landed on the ground, grabbed Lu Qianyan, and shouted, "Go!" There was such a big commotion here, and even his own cave was destroyed. The city lord's mansion would definitely come to investigate, and if he was questioned at that time, he would not be able to explain many things clearly. Why does someone in the Emperor Senior realm hide in your cave? How is it safe and sound to be attacked by the Emperor Senior realm? Yang Kai didn't want to explain these things, and couldn't explain them. So now he can only leave the place of right and wrong as soon as possible. Sure enough, less than 30 breaths after Yang Kai left, a strong man from the city lord's mansion rushed to the place, and after asking around, he didn't know who the owner of the destroyed cave mansion was, so he had no choice but to retreat. Bingxin Pavilion, Yang Kai brought Lu Shanyan all the way here, and walked in directly. "Hey, Pill Master Yang." Fan Xin greeted Yang Kai with a face of joy, and smiled, "Are you done with your work?" "Well, thank you for your concern." Yang Kai nodded with a smile. When Fengxin was about to say something more, her pretty face suddenly changed, and she said, "Pill Master Yang, why are you injured?" Was attacked by Pang Guang earlier, although Yang Kai escaped by chance, but was also seriously injured, looking quite embarrassed at the moment. "I have encountered some trouble." Yang Kai said awkwardly, I came here to take refuge for a while. I don't know. Fan Xin glanced at Yang Kai thoughtfully, and said, the commotion in the Dongfu area just now, shouldn't it have something to do with you, Pillmaster Yang? Yang Kai smiled bitterly, there is no disaster. Fang Xin was stunned, she just guessed casually, but she guessed it right, she couldn't laugh or cry. In this inner city, not many people dared to provoke trouble, let alone Dongfu district. Yang Kai didn't know what happened, but he was so disgraceful. If junior sister Fang Xin finds it inconvenient, let's leave now. Seeing that she didn't let him in, Yang Kai thought she was afraid of getting burned, so he couldn't help feeling sad. Fang Xin pursed her lips and smiled, in my Bingxin Pavilion, any trouble is not a trouble. Since you are the alchemist of Bingxin Pavilion, where do you want to go? Come with me. Yang Kai's eyes lit up, he quickly cupped his fists and said, thank you, junior sister Fang Xin. Entering Bingxin Pavilion, Yang Kai immediately felt relieved. Although this place is small, and the people who come and go are not high-end, but there are strong people sitting in the town, it can be said that this place is safer than the Dongfu district, and there is no need to worry about anything else if you live here. Fan Xin led Yang Kai inside, arranged for him to stay with Lu Shanyan, then turned and left. Yang Kai's injuries looked serious, but his physique was good, so he recovered very quickly. However, he didn't intend to deliberately restore it at all, but directly took out another pitch-black Budianlian from the mysterious boundary bead. Budianlian has twin plants, one black and one white. A single plant can only repair the damaged dantian and soul of the warrior, which is not so heaven-defying, but if the twin plants are refined into pills, it can greatly expand the warrior's dantian and sea of a euro consciousness. This effect has extraordinary significance for any martial artist. Even those who have reached the peak of the third-level Emperor Senior Realm cannot resist such a temptation. The expansion of the sea of a euro consciousness and the expansion of the dantian means the growth of strength. Previously, Yang Kai was forced to swallow a sky-buttering lotus alive, but now there is only one other one left, and he can no longer refine the heaven-bending pill. He simply didn't do anything, and stuffed this black butterfly lotus into his mouth and swallowed it alive. Not only that, he also found all kinds of auxiliary medicinal materials from the space ring, and ate them all in one go. These auxiliary materials are all needed for refining Bingdibutian pill. It is impossible to refine Bingdibutianlian, he can only rely on this method to maximize the effect of Bingbingbutianlian, use himself as the furnace, use the source power as the fire, and melt the heaven and the earth, in order to obtain some effects of Bingdibutian pill. Although doing so would be a great waste of medicinal materials, it is also a helpless move. The pure medicinal power exploded in the abdomen, turned into energy and traveled around the limbs, and there was a constant cracking sound in the secret room. Yang Kai kept his mind, not being moved by external objects, and refined with one heart. He could feel that his dantian and sea of a euro consciousness were slowly expanding, and the miraculous effect of Bingdibutianlian was taking effect. 3 days passed in a flash. Yang Kai slowly opened his eyes, full of energy, looking like he had gained a lot. He sensed his own condition and found that his injuries had healed. Not only that, his dantian seemed to have expanded by 1/10 compared to 3 days ago, and his sea of a euro consciousness had also grown tremendously. With his level of strength, any improvement is hard-won, and requires great efforts and great opportunities. But now he just took 2 Budianlian, and he has achieved this, which shows the powerful effect of Budianlian. After being overjoyed for a while, Yang Kai gritted his teeth and cursed, Pang Guang, you bastard. If he hadn't been pushed into a hurry by Pang Guang, how could he have made the act of swallowing the lotus? Thinking about it now, he is still twitching with distress. It is not easy to see Budian Lily, not to mention that he originally had 2 plants with double pedicles in his hand. Dan, now that plan is gone too. Compared to making alchemy, Yang Kai swallowed it raw like this, and even 1/10 of the effect of Bingdibutianlian has not been exerted. As an alchemist, Yang Kai can't tolerate such a violent practice. He pinned this grudge on Pang Guang. Just as he was secretly getting angry, there was a knock on the door suddenly. Yang Kai was stunned for a moment, but he quickly opened the door. Fang Xin was standing at the door, looking at him with a strange expression. What's the matter with junior sister Fang Xin? Yang Kai asked. Fang Xin said, Master wants to see you. Master. Yang Kai frowned, and the next moment he widened his eyes again, and whispered, Master Pavilion Master. Yes, I am ordered by Master to bring you there. Fan Xin nodded. Yang Kai felt uncomfortable all of a sudden. He never thought that the Bingshin Pavilion master, who was so invisible, wanted to see him at this time. This is a strong Emperor Senior 3-layer, even though Yang Kai had long planned to meet her, and even wanted to find out the location of the exit from her mouth, but it happened so suddenly, it still made him feel uneasy. I also don't know what this Bingshin Pavilion master wants to do when he sees him. To be continued. R1292. Chapter 2396 Master Frozen Cloud. Chapter 2396, Patriarch Bingyan. Following behind Fangson, Yang Kai asked, Junior Sister Fangson, why does Pavilion Master want to see me? Fanshin smiled and said, Master is acting, disciples dare not ask more questions. She was only here on orders, how could she know why Pavilion Master Bingshin wanted to see Yang Kai? After a pause, she continued, however, Master, she rarely sees outsiders, and even our disciples have not seen her for a long time. Speaking of this, a gloomy look appeared on her face, and at the same time she was a little envious, as if she was envious of Yang Kai, an outsider who had the opportunity to be summoned by the Master. After meeting Master, don't look at what you shouldn't look at, don't say what you shouldn't say, or else you will annoy Master, and no one on this island can save you. Fanshin exhorted worriedly, lest Yang Kai be there. I was rude in front of the Master. I'll make a note of it. Yang Kai replied with a straight face, but after being told by Fanshin, he became inexplicably nervous, always feeling that this Bingshin Pavilion Master is not a good person to get along with, and is most likely an old woman with a bad temper. By the way, my junior sister. Yang Kai thought of Lu Shanyan again. He hadn't seen Lu Shanyan since he hid in Bingshin Pavilion, and he didn't know how Lu Shanyan was going these few days. Fangson said, please don't worry about what junior sister Lu said. She has a gentle personality and gets along very happily with his sisters. She even offered to help us, so I let her help in the cabinet. That's good. Yang Kai breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Shanyan is not someone who likes to cause trouble, so he doesn't need to worry too much about this. While the two were talking, they had already reached the 6th floor of Bingshin Pavilion. Just as Yang Kai had expected, the master of the Bingshin Pavilion with great powers lived on the 6th floor. Standing in front of the door, Fanshin said, Pill Master Yang, go in by yourself, Master will be waiting for you inside. Thank you. Yang Kai nodded slightly, pushing the door open and entering. After entering the 6th floor, Yang Kai hadn't had time to take a look at the surrounding environment when the door behind him closed with a bang, and he remained calm and looked around naturally. The area of A euro, the 6th floor is not very large, but the decorations are full of agility and spirituality, as if these dead things have their own lives, making people feel inexplicably comfortable and happy. Yang Kai was secretly surprised. Walking inside, the decorations he saw were simple but elegant, and there was an extremely natural fragrance in the air, which made Yang Kai feel like he had entered a girl's boudoir. Are you that new alchemist? Suddenly a pleasant voice came from the side. Passed on, it makes people feel ethereal and untraceable. Yang Kai's face changed, and he quickly turned his head to look in the direction of the source of the sound. He hadn't noticed anyone nearby at all before, but suddenly heard a voice. It can be seen that the owner of the voice was far superior to him, so he couldn't detect it at all. If the person who spoke wanted to harm him, he would have already been tricked. As soon as he thought about it, Yang Kai's back was covered with cold sweat. But under his eyes, Yang Kai found a girl in palace costume standing quietly over there. The girl looked at him indifferently, just like that voice. This girl was full of agility, like a blooming white lotus, not stained by the slightest dust. Yang Kai saw her first impression was pure. Pure is like lake water without the slightest impurity. He couldn't believe that there was such a pure and flawless woman in this world. Immediately afterwards, Yang Kai felt a little familiar. Not only is the pure aura of this girl familiar to him, but so is the girl's appearance. He always feels as if he has seen this girl somewhere before. I can't remember when and where I saw this picture. Seeing Yang Kai staring at him blankly, with a look of lust and soul, the girl's beautiful eyebrows slightly frowned, and as soon as she raised her hand, she wanted to teach Yang Kai a lesson. She knew what kind of impact her appearance would have on men. Since she practiced, she had seen the scene in front of her countless times, and she also knew what kind of dirty thoughts those men would have in their hearts when they looked at her. She thought Yang Kai was the same. But soon she realized something was wrong, because although Yang Kai looked at her for a moment, there was no blasphemy in his eyes, only surprise, nostalgia and suspicion. She can understand Jingyan, but what about nostalgia and suspicion? The girl clearly saw the puzzled look in Yang Kai's eyes, as if he was wondering about something, and at the same time was missing someone. That expression was extremely gentle. She raised her jade hand and gently put it back, humming heavily. Yang Kai was shocked, and suddenly woke up, his old face flushed, realizing that it was a bit rude to stare at him like this, and this person was very likely to be the master of Bingxin Pavilion. Yang Kai's forehead was dripping with cold sweat, and he lowered his head and clasped his fist said, "That's right, I dare to ask senior, but the master of Bingxin Pavilion." He still can't believe that such a pure and flawless girl is actually the owner of Bingxin Pavilion. He thought she was a moody old woman before. The difference is too big in comparison. This is the palace. The girl nodded slightly. Junior Yang Kai, I have met senior, and please forgive me for being rude. Yang Kai said hastily. The girl was silent, but Yang Kai's attitude of admitting his mistake immediately was very good, so the girl didn't mean to pursue it. If she really wanted to blame, she could teach Yang Kai a lesson just now. Who did you think of just now? After a while, the girl asked. Yang didn't lift it at the beginning, and replied, this junior thinks of his wife. The girl said indifferently, why? I am very similar to your wife. If not, how could Yang Kai think of his wife when he saw her? Her tone was flat, and she couldn't hear any emotions, but it made Yang Kai feel like a mountain of pressure. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and said carefully, the appearance is not the same, but the breath is similar. They are extremely pure, not stained with dust, and… Yang Kai grinned. She is also like the senior, cold, just like an ice doll. Speaking of Su Yan, Yang Kai's expression became much more natural, and a smile of memory appeared on his face, and his heart was full of sweetness. Ice doll. The girl seemed to find this description very interesting, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but twitch upwards. Ah! Yang Kai suddenly yelled again, and suddenly raised his head to look at the girl, his eyes trembling violently, with an expression of disbelief. What's the matter? The girl frowned, extremely dissatisfied with Yang Kai's sudden surprise, and this kid raised his head and stared at him like this, which was a bit too rude. What made the girl even more dissatisfied was the expression Yang Kai stared at her, as shocked as seeing a ghost. Senior. Yang Kai swallowed his saliva, his expression seemed extremely nervous. This junior wants to ask you a question, I don't know if senior is willing to answer. The girl said impatiently, ask and listen. Yang Kai pondered for a while, as if he was considering his words. He gritted his teeth after a while and said, dare to ask the senior's name, but the name is Bing Yun. The girl frowned, and said coldly, how do you know? It is impossible for the few disciples under his seat to tell Yang Kai his name, and other people on Tongtian Island don't know. Where did Yang Kai find out his name? Yang Kai didn't answer, but his expression became even more excited. He took a step forward and said in a low voice, did senior create Bingxin Valley? Leave behind the Black Frost Excalibur? Bing Yun asked in surprise, you even know this? Are you from the Northern Territory? Northern Territory. Yang Kai frowned, slowly shaking his head and said, this junior is from the Southern Territory, and has never been to the Northern Territory. Bing Yun said strangely, you have never been to the Northern Territory, how do you know the name of this palace, and how do you know Bingxin Valley? No. Speaking of this, the girl's delicate body suddenly trembled, and there was a strange light in her beautiful eyes. Staring at Yang Kai said, even if you are from the Northern Territory, you have been to Bingxin Valley and seen the statue of this palace, and know the relationship between the name of this palace and Bingxin Valley. It is impossible to know the Xuanzhuang Excalibur. In that place. After a pause, Bing Yunjiao shouted, could it be that you? Yang Kai grinned silly, and the whole person relaxed. Bing Yun also showed a rare smile, and said softly, are you from the Hengluo Star Field? Yang Kai scratched his head and said, Hengluo Star Field? I don't know what the hometown Star Field is called, but there is indeed a Hengluo Chamber of Commerce with quite a lot of influence there. Is there still Sword Alliance, Purple Star, and Spine of the Galaxy? Bing Yun asked. Yes, yes. Yang Kai nodded repeatedly. Bing Yun laughed dumbly, and said, you really come from the Hengluo Starfield. I never thought that after so many years, I would meet someone from my hometown here. This junior didn't expect to meet senior Bing Yun here. Yang Kai also had an unbelievable expression on his face, sighing endlessly. The first time he saw Bing Yun, he felt that the other party was good. He vaguely saw it somewhere, but he couldn't think about it until he recalled the bits and pieces with Su Yan. Suddenly it was turned over. I have indeed seen Bing Yun, but what I saw was not a living person, but a statue. Back then Su Yan was taken away by people from Qilan Star Bingxin Valley, and he had practiced in Bingxin Valley for many years. When Yang Kai went to Bingxin Valley to look for Su Yan, he saw the statue of Bingyan in the valley. Bingyan is the founding patriarch of Bingxin Valley, but his life and death are unknown later, and his whereabouts are unknown. At that time, Bing Long, the owner of Bingxin Valley, told Yang Kai that the patriarch Bingyan most likely left that piece of world and went to a wider sky, leaving only the Xuanchuang Excalibur worn with him as the treasure of Zhenzong. And later, the Xuanchuang Excalibur was inherited by Su Yan. Counting the time, tens of thousands of years have passed since Bingyan created Bingxin Valley. Who would have thought that she would actually still be alive in this world, and that she had come to the star field, and even cultivated to the level of the third layer Emperor Senior Realm? To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read.